I see her rolling up over black Cadillac, high heel boots and a sexy.
So the thing about having the extra camera, I downloaded an app. It's called DroidCam. It allows me to just plug it in and use it as a webcam.
Nice.
So I just returned a inexpensive 4K webcam that I bought that looked like crap from the moment I pulled it out of the box. I was actually worried that it was like a Chinese knockoff.
Right.
Because I watched it on an unboxing of the actual thing, and the packaging didn't look the same. Some of the other stuff didn't look the same, and it never looked good, ever. Yeah. Like, no matter what I did. I mean, maybe if I had like huge like light panels and all this other stuff, like maybe it would have finally found enough lighting. But like changing all the settings. And the funny thing is, I did a video on this for the patrons that I compared that camera to the Logitech I already had to my phone as the webcam, and it was ridiculously bad. How it was outrageous that it was that bad. And like I said, it was inexpensive.
Right.
So I think it was like $65, and it's supposed to be like one of the top-rated ones from 2023. I'm like, no, not even for that price. So I literally just returned it. It was one of the errands I was running on while waiting on you to get here. So either way, I've got this literally right in my face balls. It's okay. So either way, I don't know. We're just gonna wing it today.
All right.
That's what we're gonna do. So guys, welcome back to the Now You Made It Awkward podcast, episode 81. So it's been a week or so, week and a half since the last episode came out. Just couldn't wrangle anybody to manage the comeback. And I just realized one of the faults of filming the way I am, I needed access to my phone to read a thing. Whoops. So I am recording this using two different cell phones to get a little bit of footage of me and James here, who's visiting. Wave to the fine patrons who are also seeing my kitchen in the background there. So actually, this is the first podcast done in the kitchen here. So this is in the kitchen. Now You Made It Awkward. So we're combining all the Shoky stuff into one thing.
It's everything and the kitchen sink.
Now You Made It Kitchen.
Yeah.
There you go. Actually, that wouldn't be a bad title for like a little restaurant. Now You Made It.
Now You've Made It Kitchen.
Yeah. So you make your own food. I mean, some people are going to be lazy and not want to do this.
Some people would pay for that, and then you'd kind of think, if you're going to go make your own food,
why am I going to a restaurant?
To a restaurant, but it seems like something our society would.
Well, why do I bag my own groceries?
Oh, that's true.
And now at the Circle K by my work, they actually have a ridiculous self-checkout thing where you don't even scan anything. You just put it on the thing. It somehow recognizes it, and you just put your card in.
Yeah, I've seen that too.
That's
And backfires.
Extreme backfiring. Yep. So the glories of being here in the kitchen, you get to hear all the background noise. So, actually, it would still be audible was the word I'm looking for. I was going to say visible, but no. Audible if we were in the Shoky cave, which is not set up to accommodate two people sitting in there just yet. But actually, I think you might have talked about it the other night at men's group, with people needing help with stuff. I'm probably going to need somebody soon who can help me haul some 4x8 sheets of foam. So I can...
Foam?
Yeah, like the foam board, like foam insulation board.
Okay.
So I need to block off that window in there, and I have this, wherever it is on the floor over here, a block of sound foam.
Okay.
The ripple
right.
stuff. And I bought that when we moved in. Actually, before we moved in. And I was planning on blocking off that window, having a nice sound reflective thing, and finishing the display that's unfinished in there.
Yeah.
So I just need someone who has the ability to help me move that. So I'll be reaching out at some point in the men's group. Yep. So, guys, if you are unfamiliar with the podcast, of course, we usually talk about nerdy stuff or pop culture stuff or just whatever's going on for the day. James has been here before on one of the more entertaining episodes, at least for me, where we discussed God and nerd culture, basically, at the same time, which I thought was actually fairly well enlightening because you told me some things I didn't even know about the Bible. Which, as basically my pastor, it's good to have you have that ability. Because if you didn't, I would be a little worried.
Yeah. Or you would just be unusually Bible smart.
I mean, that I'm not sure that's ever going to happen realistically.
Stick with me, kid. We'll get there.
Sure. And then you're going to have to get to the don't get cocky kid.
That's right.
Eventually. So either way, You want to give yourself a little intro for all the things you do now, since things have slightly changed since the last time you were here.
Nothing's really changed. I do the same thing I did before, which is I'm pastoring a church, and I guess we do. We're having our services now, so it's a brand new church, and churches all start somewhere. So we started in these groups, which is where I met you, and now we're having what we call preview services. Yep. And our next one's actually going to be in a movie theater. I'm really excited about that. We have reclining chairs, so I'm curious how many people will fall asleep during the service.
Jessica.
Okay, cool. But my deal is like, if you're going to sleep in church, you might as well do it like in a big, comfy recliner.
Are we gonna like put up like beforehand? Are we just gonna do like a preview screening of the crucifixion part of the Passion? Just to get everybody fired up.
Just to get them amped up.
Yeah. It's like for church on Sunday morning.
We'd probably get slapped with all kinds of copyright infringement laws.
Why would we? We'd be playing a movie in a movie theater.
Well, I mean, that's true, but nobody paid. I guess technically it would be like, hey, we need everybody to give an offering. That way we could say you paid to see this.
Yeah, I mean, realistically.
Yeah, that way.
But either way, so the two preview services we have done have been in a cool place called the Church Project here in Conroe. And that's cool. That's a neat little place. It reminds me of where I first started going to church. Mm-hmm. Well, not first, I should say. The second thing that I got into when going into church, when it was more mainstream to have like a cool youth area. Yeah. It was a place here. It was associated to a church called, was it? Christ the King. So it was a spinoff of Christ the King, and then I think it became associated to the Ark eventually. And it was called Flood Zone. So, okay, so yeah, it was from the Ark, Flood Zone.
Makes sense.
So, and that was literally like a youth group nightclub on Wednesday night. They had a really big band and all this other stuff, and the leader was a young hip dude with spiky hair because it was 1997.
We all had spiky hair back then.
Well, maybe not.
All of us cool ones did.
Well, I always kept my hair fairly short. And then when I decided to grow my hair out is when most of it was gone. So I'm just covering for the lack thereof. But either way, so it kind of reminds me of that, especially with the kind of the piece together feel and like stuck in a shopping center is literally what it was. So it's like kind of was bringing back memories, and like how there's like almost like a coffee corner sort of and lounge area. Yeah. I was like, wow, this is like hardcore. Like when I started into my original journey into Christ or following God, however you want to call it, back then is very similar. I was like, this is weird. It's like, how did I end up here again? It's like, start over, go back to when you're 16.
Yeah.
Because the original church I was going to, which I went to for a really long time with my girlfriend, eventually became involved with that church. I don't know. I think it was just became a trendy thing to try this other place out. And I guess because we broke up, I needed a new church to go to, and my friends were going there. So, it's kind of awkward when you and your girlfriend go to the same church and then you break up for the third time. Yeah. So, junior year is what it is. Yeah.
I had I dated, I say dated, like I'll say I had a childhood sweetheart when I guess I would have been 10 years old. And my dad is a pastor, and he had taken a church. He's still there. He's been there since 1989. Wow. And so anyways, in 1989, I met this girl. So I guess I would have been 9 years old. I lied to her, and I told her I was 10 because I needed to seem like I was a much older man, just in case she liked older men, Mm-hmm. And so anyways, I told her that I was 10, and we sort of dated as 9-year-olds do, which is to say that when we were there, we were kind of just together. But as we grew older, we did actually start dating. And so I was with this girl essentially from about 9 years old up until it was time for me to go to college, which was 18 years old. And
so you had a 9-year relationship graduating high school.
Correct.
Wow.
Yeah. And and then you're talking about being awkward of being in the same church. I had a 9-year relationship with this girl. I went off to Bible college, so I went from Texas to Missouri and met my wife on day one, while I was still dating this other girl of a 9-year relationship. So, yeah, that was awkward when I came back. And so
it was awkward because you married her while you were there. That's the weird part.
Well, yeah. So what happened was that we were dating. I started dating my wife while I was also dating this other girl long distance, like a good man does. And luckily, they were both named Shelly. So I didn't have to worry about, they were both named Shelly, and I didn't have to worry about mixing up their names. And there were times where I would call on the phone and I would be like, oh, hey, Shelly. And then I'd panic because in my brain I was thinking of the other one, and I'd panic like, oh my gosh, I just blew it. And then I'd realize they have the same name, and I'd be like, oh, it's okay.
You're good. It's all good.
So anyway, so I started dating my wife, but I didn't, I think, really fall in love and think, oh man, I think this is the one until the beginning of the second semester.
Oh, I was going to say until the next 9 years.
Or well, the beginning of the second semester, I was like, I think this might be the girl I'm supposed to be with like for the rest of my life. And so I told her, I told her like, hey, you can hate me and never see me again, but this is the honest truth. Like I have had a girlfriend. I've had a girlfriend since I was 9. I was supposed to marry this girl. Everybody thought we were for sure getting married, but I don't think so. I think it's supposed to be you. And she was hurt, but she was like, all right, well, I mean, you're going to break it off, right? And I was like, yes. And I did. So I broke it off with the other Shelly over spring break. And then we decided that we didn't want to go to that Bible college anymore. It was a Baptist school. I was raised Baptist, but it was more of like, if you're not Baptist, you're nothing. You're on your way to hell probably because you're not one of us. And like my wife and I don't think that way, and so it really just wasn't for us. So we agreed to break up, and I told her like, and she told me because she lived in Indiana and I lived in Texas, and we agreed we didn't want to do a long distance relationship, and so we agreed to break up. And she told me, you have to be whoever I marry, you have to be his best man, and if he doesn't like it, he can't marry me. And I was like, okay, well, I don't know how he'll feel about that, but all right. She's like, because we're going to be best friends forever. I'm like, okay. So anyway, so we go our separate ways.
Why wouldn't you just be her maid of honor?
Well, maybe. Why not, right? I mean, so we go.
So you could pull off a red dress.
I can pull off anything, bro. Just give me a chance. So we go. All right, we go our separate ways, and I'm realizing I can't live without her. But before I realize that, I start dating the old Shelly again, because I went back. She's still there. She forgave me. Yeah. And I was like, do you want to give it another go? And she's like, yes. So we do. And it's just like 2 weeks in, I'm like, no, this isn't it. This ain't, as my son says, which means this is the phrase of the quarter, I suppose, for this year. That ain't it. So I'm like, nope, this isn't happening. So I called her up and I'm like, look, I can't live without you. I need to just figure out a way to move up there. But so I did move up to Indiana.
So that's how you ended up in Indiana.
I moved up to Indiana. I stayed in her grandmother's second story. Her grandmother had a second story that they didn't use because like she was old and she doesn't go upstairs. And so that was like my side of the house, right? And anyways, we got married and then moved back to Texas and go back to the church. And now I'm there with my wife Shelly at the church where other Shelly also attends and has for her entire life. And this isn't a big church.
Yeah.
Like 100 is a really good Sunday.
In which town? Where is this?
Well, it was in a suburb of San Antonio.
Okay.
Yeah. So 100 is a really...
say Universal City, probably.
Yeah. Yes, Universal City. Okay. And so...
I was gonna say it sounds like Universal City.
It is.
Okay.
So 100 is a really good day. So, we're in very close proximity, but. Oddly enough, they became best friends, and then
So now the Shellys...
So now the Shellys are constantly talking about all of my foibles and everything that's hilarious about how stupid I am, or this I am, or that I am, and I would just walk away. I'd just be like, okay, you guys talk, and make fun of me for the next hour, and...
This episode's definitely a tale of two Shellys.
Yeah, a tale of two Shellys.
Yeah, but if you had stopped earlier in your story, I'd have been like, Well, we've got good news for you today, Jim.
Come on
out,
She's been in the
Shelly.
closet the whole time.
There's one more piece of that story that I probably should have factored in at the time. The night before I go to Bible college, we're sitting on old Shelly's front porch. We're still dating.
Shelly.
Old Shelly.
Well, that sounds bad.
Well, I mean, you know, she's
Previous
probably like 43 now.
Shelly
old
1.
enough,
Shelly
right?
Prime.
No, she's not Shelly Prime.
No, she was first, therefore she was Prime.
Well, they spell their names differently, so she can be Shelly Prime because she's
go.
Shelly with an E Prime, and my wife is Shelly with no E Prime.
This is true.
But anyways, so she tells me sitting on her front porch, like, she goes, I don't want to, she goes, I love you. I remember what she said like it was yesterday. She goes, I love you. You hold my heart. You have no idea. That being said, I don't want to be a minister's wife. Well, I had known since I was 8 years old I was going to be a minister. She had known since I was 9 years old I was going to be a minister. Like, I had never hidden that. And I'm going off to Bible college to earn a degree so I can go be in the ministry. And she's like, I don't want to be a minister's wife. I'm like, what am I supposed to do with that information? So I think that's why, like, the first day I get there, I was open to the idea of, like, well, it's time to look for somebody else because she didn't want to be a minister's wife, and I'm going to be a minister. Like, what am I? So I'm not using that as an excuse for
I do.
For not being a stand-up guy in that situation, but...
But wait, did she end up marrying a James?
No, she didn't end up marrying a James, but she did end up marrying a minister. Yeah, so that's why I had to bring it back and say, like, she ended up marrying the guy. She ended up marrying the guy that ended up being my dad's youth pastor. And I don't. He's not still in the ministry, but he was in the ministry for like a long. I just thought that was funny. Like, she immediately started dating a guy who was going into the ministry and was in ministry for several years.
Yeah.
He ended up getting like I don't know, some kind of illness or something. He's still around, but like, he was sick and he couldn't work, and I think he still doesn't work. Like, he stays at home and helps raise the kids, and she goes and works and whatever. But anyways, that was it is, and they were our good friends. That was the other thing is kind of after the initial awkwardness, which took about a year.
It would do,
yeah. It took about a year, but after that, like, we were all really good friends. They came over to our house every Sunday night, and we were at their wedding, and it was great.
Were you her best man?
No.
See, I feel like that should have been the trade-off.
Well, no. See, the thing is my wife was very forgiving. Old Shelly took a long time to come around. Well, and old Shelly still owes me $20 because she said I wouldn't marry new Shelly, and she bet me with a handshake.
So,
she said, I bet you $20 you won't marry her. Yeah, what's the interest? Because that was back in 2000.
Yeah, because that's been a minute. Yeah.
Yeah. She works at a bank. She can afford it. She knows numbers.
Probably not.
She uses my wife and I as examples of how not to invest. she teaches students like investing and stuff, and she uses us as examples of how not to invest, because I told her, like, we'd go and we'd buy Star Wars toys, and we'd go and we'd buy, so when Lord of the Rings came out, we got all of the first run loader toys, and they're still in their boxes, and they've all appreciated in value. Yeah. But we were like, when we're in our 70s, these are going to be worth a lot of money because of what happened with the first run of Star Wars toys, those 70s Star Wars toys. We were like, well, the same thing's going to happen for Lord of the Rings. I don't know that it won't, but I don't think it'll be quite Star
Not
Wars
in the
level.
same way. No,
won't be the same way, but
they are better toys.
They are better toys. They're really cool. And you've seen my Balrog up in my on top of my wife's dresser. So that one's really cool, right?
Oh, that's right. Yeah. It's been a minute.
Yeah, but anyways.
But also, I'm going to clip that.
Fun.
I'm clipping that.
Okay,
you've seen my Balrog.
You've seen. Well, you can use this one better. You've seen my Balrog.
Yeah.
Anyways, so yeah, she uses us as examples of how not to invest.
I mean, yeah, but I mean, I would, if she needs someone new, I've got an entire room of sadness in there to show her.
At least you've got yours on display. Ours are all in cardboard boxes.
True. I'm not precious with my collections, to make a Lord of the Rings pun.
But if you and Jessica are ever blessed with a child, I have a feeling a lot of the stuff on display is going to go away after you.
No, it'll be isolated, is what it will be.
Well, yeah, you say that.
Because so here's the easy truth. So here's the easy truth about it. I know lots of friends who have families and have collections on display. The easy way to do it is to isolate it from where the child will be. Well, no, not even that. Just basically, hey, there's a door. We're just going to move anything that can be picked up and put in mouths behind the door.
That works until they're about 8 or 9.
And then that's when you have, along that path, you at least have to teach them the respect of things when it comes to that. There's a difference between toys, and things that are not toys on display. Because one, there's expensive-ass statues in there. I mean, there's less expensive statues over here. Which, by the way, my Star Wars figures, I still haven't put away. The Christmas Star Wars figures.
Oh, yeah, I see that.
Christmas all year long.
Yeah, I've just been lazy because I've been I want to say I've been focused on doing things in there because I haven't been. But it's like it took so long to get like the last 7 figures I was trying to get in that line that is like it was after Christmas before the last 4 came. So it's like I'm just gonna leave them on display for a little bit. But then also I've got my Batman statues just kind of blocked off there, and the Thinker down there, all that kind of stuff. And I just got some new stuff in this Megatron that's sitting right here that just came in. So I did an unboxing on that the other day, but I haven't got to play with it yet. It's technically a model kit, but it's all pre-painted and looks gorgeous. So I've been waiting on to mess with that. That would have been what I was doing today. Actually, I should have done it yesterday, but then I decided to start the new Avatar, the Last Airbender live action series.
And? Not so much. That's kind of been the sentiment that I've seen online.
It is the best it's going to be, but they couldn't help themselves from editing the story in stupid ways. Okay. So I'm only in episode 2.
All right. So how would you compare it to One Piece? I assume you watched the.
I did not watch One Piece. Oh. So here's the thing. I'm not a One Piece fan. Okay. But not because I don't like it. It's just that it's such an investment. If I had started it when it first started on 4Kids TV here in the U.S., I'd probably there'd be Luffy stuff everywhere. Right. Probably there'd be a Straw Hat flag, somewhere. Instead, I have Power Rangers and other anime stuff instead. But I've heard that it's a good adaptation.
It is,
but it is massively truncated because you can't do enough.
Obviously.
But they jump like
they're not going to make 1,000 episodes of a live action.
No, they won't.
Yeah, no, it is. It is very truncated, but I think in a very good way. I said at the end of watching One Piece live action that was probably one of the best jobs I've ever seen of adapting an anime into a live action series. Yeah. And so I was kind of hoping that would be the case with Airbender, but I heard that not so much.
Okay, so I'm pausing. Okay. So back to the One Piece thing. So as you were saying, it was about one of the best live action anime adaptations.
I was just hoping that the same thing would have been the case for.
So let me put it this way: the stuff they get right is exactly on point. It's nearly perfect. My biggest gripe with it is that. So one of the biggest episodes for building story and character in Avatar is the storm.
Okay.
It gives you the background on Zuko, and it gives you the background on Aang. And that is an amazing storm, and it links them together in the same situation in the modern episode. Mm-hmm. They give you Aang's background in the first 5 minutes of the show. They give you that whole setup for what happened to Aang and how he ends up frozen in ice in the first 5 minutes. Completely ruining that story beat.
Right.
By the way, cheers.
Oh, yeah, cheers.
Thank you for coming. Mm-hmm.
Always a good way to get me to go to anybody's house and just offer me some.
Well,
sort
I mean,
of
I have lots of liquor that needs to be drunk. So, the thing is that they're like the first episode's like almost an hour, pretty much like right at an hour, and they get through the first 2 episodes of the show in that episode.
Right.
They cut out about 90% of the humor, and cut out story beats that would build the characters together as a team. So in the first episode, when Aang gets unfrozen in the animated version, he immediately pops up and he sees Katara. Mm-hmm. And I forget what he says to her, but it feels very Anakin seeing Padme for the first time.
Are you an angel?
Yeah, exactly. It's very much like that, but also at no point in what they've shown so far for Aang is he acting like a kid. Mm-hmm. And he was super kiddie. One of the things he does is he goes and does penguin sledding in the first episode. And then he introduces Appa and shows him how to fly on him and stuff like that. And then they go back to the village, and then all the revelation of the Avatar and all that stuff happens. In this, they cut all that. Mm-hmm. They take him unconscious back to the village. He wakes up very Back to the Future-esque instead. You know, his clothes are off. They were looking at his tattoos and stuff. They figure out he's an airbender. And then Grandma becomes the exposition machine. Literally gives us the opening story crawl to every Avatar episode. Mm-hmm. Grandma gives us that, or Grand gives us that. And then when Zuko shows up, which, by the way, the dude who's playing Zuko actually nearly gets the voice right, which is kind of cool. Mm-hmm. And as far as I can tell, all the casting is fantastic. Like, they did a good job on that. They got people who look like they're supposed to look. The costuming is great, except for the fact everything is too clean. It's like, I don't believe these people have been living in ice and snow their entire lives. Their costumes look perfect. Mm-hmm. That's unfortunate, you know? But the bending looks great for the most part. Fire is a little weird. They do a lot of cutting away, but the actual fire bending is right on thing. They actually got the movements correct. They got everything they got right is fantastic. Mm-hmm. But the thing that they ignore is the story, and people want to watch a story, not flashy garbage on TV.
Right.
And they cut out the story parts.
Right.
So whenever it goes to Aang surrenders himself to Zuko, and they take him away on the ship. So Katara and Sokka decide to go rescue him. Sokka is instantly not reticent about going with her. Mm-hmm. It's like he was really very much against Aang because he brought all this trouble to them. In this, he instantly flips, and then he goes, well, we'll never catch up to in a rowboat. And so Katara says, well, I have an idea, and it immediately cuts to them flying away on Appa. Mm-hmm. Aang never showed them how to fly on Appa in this. Never gave him the command to fly. There was no, hey, I can't remember what's the command to get him to go, and they're trying to guess, and Appa won't do anything. All of that is character building, and it builds the team. At this point, it went so fast, they've got no real reason to go rescue Aang.
Right.
Other than just being good people. They don't care. It's like they care because he helped them and kept people from dying. But like the Fire Nation attacking their village to come find Aang was greatly minimized. The battle between Zuko and Sokka was greatly minimized, even to the point he didn't do the double bonk on the head to, really embarrass Sokka.
Right.
And they also, and I don't know, this had to have been one of these, we can't do that with a guy who looks like that. They got rid of the war paint. That like indigenous war paint, because they worship wolves. Huh. So they put on war paint to look like wolves. He just goes out there normal face because he's a white-ish dude.
Right.
They're like, we can't make him go out there with black with white on his face. It'll look like blackface.
Right.
I'm like, except that's part of the character, and that's part of their tradition. It's part of what they do as a tribe. I was like, you don't cut that. It's like, it was so dumb. And then he didn't even use the boomerang. His boomerang is literally his thing. Mm-hmm. And he doesn't even throw it. Because that's part of the other humor, was not only Zuko hitting him over the head with a stick and knocking him down, but he throws the boomerang, misses Zuko, and then it comes back and hits him in the head, knocking off the helmet and showing off the scars.
Right.
That's a big moment in the show. Completely cut. And Aang just surrenders after kicking some firebender butt real quick.
Right.
It's stupid. I was just like, it looks great. It's acted well, but they're cutting the story beats that mean something. And it seems like they wanted to develop more of the...
So if you hadn't seen the anime, do you feel like you would have enjoyed the show more because you wouldn't have known those pieces were missing?
I'm going to have to find someone who has not seen it to get that opinion.
Okay.
Because I can't imagine what it's like to not have that in the lexicon of entertainment in my brain. Because it was... Even though that show was out when I was in my late teens, early 20s, it is still an incredibly meaningful show. I can rewatch it at any given point. I tried to get the wife to watch it, but she won't watch cartoons because she says they're dumb. I was like,
same.
Except that in this show, it's incredibly moving. It's about developing who you are as a person, going beyond the means of what other people tell you what you're supposed to be, and finding yourself. Like Zuko's storyline is one of the best written things in modern entertainment. And I have a feeling they're going to focus on him and sideline a lot of the other, like Team Avatar, at least from some of the reviews I saw, Team Avatar themselves basically get their stuff truncated and they expand Zuko's stuff. I was like, this isn't the Zuko show. It's about Aang.
Right.
It's like, what do you do? I mean, like, and I can forgive some of the other stuff, you know, like the preferences on actors, because nobody's ever going to be good as Mako as Uncle Iroh. Like, but he's been dead for a really long time. So, and he was extremely old to begin with. But the guy playing him is the guy from The Mandalorian and a few other things. And he does a good job of imitating that character, at least from what I've seen. But like,
wait, which guy from Mandalorian?
The X-wing pilot, the sheriff, or kind of sheriff guy that keeps popping up here and there.
Okay.
So he originally tries to arrest Mando, and then he's the one who comes and gets him.
Yeah. Okay.
So that guy.
Okay.
But he's done up like Iroh. He's got the full beard and all that stuff, the top knot, all that. So they capture the feel of the show, but forgot to actually include the show.
Right.
So it's a shame.
With One Piece, and I'm trying to recall, I just got into one. Same reasons as you. I wasn't going to get into One Piece.
Yeah.
First of all, if I see tons and tons of merchandise of anything at Hot Topic, I just automatically kind of write it off. I'm like, I'm not going to get into that.
Why are you in Hot Topic?
Because I have teenage children.
I'm just picking on you.
Lots of them. We don't get to go to the mall without going to Hot Topic.
I've met your children. I get it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and actually, they're starting to not like Hot Topic either, because Hot Topic used to be like a little cooler than it is, and now it's like
they don't even get the Hot Topic we grew up on.
No,
which was way cooler.
Way cooler.
You go in there to buy like the horrible demonic music that they don't sell anywhere else.
They don't, and they don't play it anymore. Like, remember when you used to walk into Hot Topic and all you could hear was and that's all you ever heard,
and it was like all jaggedy and dark.
Now you go in there and they're freaking playing Lady Gaga and stuff.
It's become. I think that Hot Topic has become like a combination of Spencer's and like Sunglass Hut. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, so I don't remember when I heard One Piece was coming out as a live action. I knew I was going to watch it because I'm always curious about live action remakes of animes.
Yeah.
They're usually horrible.
Usually.
But I knew I was going to watch it. So I think I started watching One Piece before the live action came out, just so I could have a basis of comparison. But I don't think I made it very far in. I definitely didn't make it all the way to the point where the live action stops. So I watched the live action first. Essentially, I think I just basically had enough knowledge to know who the characters were. And then I watched all the way through the live action, and then I started watching the anime to see how it compared. And so that's the order in which I watched it. I don't know if I had watched the anime first, would I have been really pissed off? Would I have been like, oh, they missed this, they missed that? But watching the live action first, I didn't really know what I was missing.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, well, this was a really interesting story. And so watching them like cram a whole bunch of stuff into just a few episodes that in the anime takes like, I don't remember how many episodes.
I think it's like 90 episodes.
Yeah, I was going to say ridiculous. 70. So, and that was just my ballpark. So you're probably right. Because I thought they did a really good job of leaving out the things that weren't that important. Being said, One Piece has so much stuff that is not important. So much stuff that's not important.
And the thing is, Oda doesn't treat any of it like filler, unlike other anime. What's the word I'm looking for? Instead of otakus, that's the wrong word. Mangakas. So Oda, the guy who created it, he treats it all as canon. It's all here, all 1,200, 1,400, however many chapters there are now. I know there's over 1,100 episodes. Still running, which is insane.
Right.
But I mean,
although they're going into their last arc.
Hopefully. It's like, good luck. Can we get to the One Piece now, please?
Right.
I did see a thing that was going to be a joke that Oda, for his final thing, he's going to say that the way to get to the final chapter is written, but it's hidden somewhere on Earth, and you have to find it. So literally making the final chapter into the One Piece.
Right.
I was like, oh god, you're going to turn us all into manga pirates. This is going to be weird. But so I watched I think all the way through up until they fought Buggy in the original release on 4Kids. If I recall correctly, they built the initial crew, and then I think they at least fought Buggy once. I don't know how many times they fought him ultimately. I know a lot about the series.
He's a recurring character.
Yeah, most of them are, but
I've noticed not a lot of people who are important die in One Piece. Like it's mostly,
and all the important ones do. Yeah,
right.
Yeah, because the really important relational characters are the ones that end up dying. But I don't think there's any other anime or manga that has a cast that's larger, that is concurrent.
Yeah.
Like, they don't care that they're bringing in, I think, something like 180 different named characters that are on screen and do things.
Right.
And, like, nobody else would do that. It's just Oda. Even Bleach said, hey, we got too many people. We're going to either kill off half of them or they're just not going to be a part of this next arc.
So I have to ask you, are you a sub or dub guy?
Sub.
Okay. So I'm a dub guy because I just don't have time to read all that mess.
I just like the acting better.
And that's what my kids are sub people as well, and I totally get it. Get it.
People.
Sub people. Yeah, they're sub people. You're all sub people.
Yeah.
Well,
they're your sub people.
No, I get it. I'm dub people.
And I don't blame you. I was too.
I don't like, to me, I'm such a visual guy. I don't like having to constantly bounce my eyes down.
Yeah.
I don't want to miss all the art and the detail, and I don't like it.
Yeah.
So anyways, but this is what and I don't know if it's the same way in the sub, in the original language. But the one thing about One Piece that really drives me crazy, all of the villains have like this variant of this ridiculous laugh that no one on the planet Earth has ever had.
No, that's part of it.
And I didn't know if that was like part of the original language thing as well, because I'm like,
well,
why?
they do
Whose
their best
idea
to-
was this? And then like they
Oda.
took the idea and they ran with it with like every other villain has this laugh of like, and I'm like, nobody laughs.
Well, because the
Why?
early villains are all significantly goofier.
Right.
By the time you get to like Kaido, it's not like that.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like, you start getting into like the earth-shattering villains versus the we're not up to that power level yet villains.
Right.
You know, at least in my experience, and you know, might be talking out of my ass, but it's also like Luffy himself, you know, has a very kiddie voice.
True.
Throughout the whole thing, and he's very not serious until he has to be.
Well, I mean, I think the voice actor for him
Well, I don't know about English.
Yeah, for the
Like, 'cause
English,
I don't
for the
remember the
English
English.
version, I think it's really appropriate. Like he sounds like a young teenage boy, which is how he's.
But he
going.
always sounds that way forever.
True.
Because he's, as far as I know, he's voiced by a woman.
Right.
Like most young
That makes
male,
sense.
like Goku. Goku from Dragon Ball is still.
I can't listen to this. I can't listen to the original language one. He sounds like a little old lady. And
He is a little old
I
lady, and
can't
that's why it's
do it.
great.
I can't do it.
Dude, Masako is fantastic.
I can't do it.
Dude,
I'm not saying she's not an
Hold on.
Amazon. I'm
Here-
sure
but
she is.
But you know the
I can't
insane
do it.
part? She's legitimately like 80.
Because
And she's still
I've seen,
doing it.
I've
It's
seen,
crazy.
I've seen the pictures of her and everything,
Yeah.
but I
She
didn't.
sounds the same.
I
It's
didn't
weird.
start on that, and so
Neither did I.
I loved the dubbed. The guy who does dubbed Goku. I love his voice.
Yeah, Sean
I think
Schemmel.
it's perfect for the character. So then when I went back and my kids are always dogging me like, "Oh, Dad, you listen to the dubbed version," blah blah blah. So I go and I try and do the sub version, and like I did 3 episodes, and I'm like,
abrupt.
I can't.
I get it.
I can't.
Well,
do it.
now which part are you watching? Because that does matter.
That would have been regular.
Is that being Z? I'm assuming.
Yeah, it would have been Z.
Okay, so at the beginning of Z. So I'll give you. So here's the weird part. I think there's technically 4 English dubs of early Z before Funimation more or less kind of took over. Which, by the way, R.I.P. Funimation. They're done.
Really?
Yep, they're done completely.
I think my son had mentioned something about that.
Yeah, I think it was last week they announced that Funimation as a company is kaput. Unfortunately, Crunchyroll is basically absorbing all their assets.
Right.
As far as I can tell, because it did seem kind of pointless.
Crunchyroll's like the Disney of anime.
Basically, yeah. But I mean, they're just a distribution thing. So I mean, you know, because you can get anime through everywhere else. Realistically, it's just syndication deals at that point. But there are Crunchyroll specific things. You know, they don't go out to other places.
Right.
Like, here's the fun part, because I guess whatever happened with Bleach in the past with Crunchyroll, new Bleach, the 1,000-Year Blood War arc, not available on Crunchyroll. They sent it to Hulu.
Okay.
Yeah, because they said, screw you. You
I never
screwed
got
me
into
over."
Bleach, so
Bleach is really good. However, it does have some of the worst filler. Like some of the worst filler that is not canon. Does so much with non-canon filler. It's ridiculous. But it also took 15 years to get back around to making the anime, which also kind of hindered them a little bit.
Sure.
But going back to at least Dragon Ball, I grew up watching English Dragon Ball as a kid. only watched for the first arc because that's all they showed us. Then I picked up Z a few years later, and that was, I think, the original Ocean dub, which had different actors initially. That's why Vegeta went to sounding like a nasally brat to sounding like Chris Sabat instead. Huge difference. Same thing for Piccolo. So, but the funny part is, like, if I'm going to do an English dub of Dragon Ball Z at this point, I'm not going with any official. I'm not going with Funimation. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going Dragon Ball Abridged. Or Dragon Ball Z Abridged. Because those guys have become my versions of the characters. Because here's the thing about English dubs. They have to translate a lot, and a lot of these things are not direct translate. They can't directly translate. Right. But the problem is they start translating character, not just words.
Right.
Goku's, especially Dragon Ball Super, because I'm watching a guy react to Dragon Ball Super in English, and I'm like, I don't remember Goku saying that. It's like, that sounds weird. So I go back and I rewatch it in Japanese, and I'm like, oh, he didn't say that.
Yeah.
But it is a completely different connotation. Not different words, different connotation, different meaning entirely to the situation. Because Dragon Ball Super, yes, they fundamentally make Goku back to just a dipshit fighter, but they make him a hero in the English dub. It's like, Goku's not a hero. He doesn't fancy himself with an ego like that.
He just really likes to fight.
He really likes to fight, and he cares about his friends and his people and where he lives. So he fights to defend people, and he fights because he wants to fight. English Goku wants to fight because he wants to be Superman.
Right.
And that's not who he is.
No. And never will be.
No, and it's a fundamental character change that I didn't know about until I started listening to the other version.
Right.
And yeah, I get the voices are weird. But it's to the point now, if I'm going to watch any new Dragon Ball, it's going to be dub.
Yeah.
Because I like the acting better in general. Because anytime you're getting the English dub of anything, they have to match lip flaps, which is incredibly difficult, and staying within a script. And, I mean, Sean Schemmel is a great Goku, but I think he should have... I think everybody who's been playing those characters all this time probably should have just handed it off to the next generation by now. Especially if you're doing multi-parts and stuff like that. But also there's a massive ego situation there, because at one point at one of these anime conventions here in Texas, Team 4-Star went to a Dragon Ball Z panel, and Sean Schemmel and Chris Sabat were there, and somebody asked them a question about other people doing Goku. And Sean Schemmel, with the biggest ego ever, said, I'm the only Goku that matters, basically. It's like, if there's only one official English Goku actor, and that's me. And that's all, well, it's not true, but, you know, because there was a guy before him.
Right.
Who sounded far more kiddie. But then he just had a huge ego about it. And with the Team 4-Star guys right there filming them, it's like, no, we got people right here who play you as well, that people actually really like that version of Goku. Not necessarily the acting, but the version is more correct.
Right.
Even if they purposely make him dumber for comedic purposes, because that's the point. It's a comedy series. But they go deeper into the character than a normal parody series should. And that's why I prefer that at this point over official English dubs. Because I think that they worked harder for it. And I think, not to downplay the Sean Schemmel screaming ability, because he can scream like the best of them.
Right.
But I find it funnier that the 80-year-old Japanese lady is doing the same job. And she does the screams and everything too. It is so funny. If you were to like compare booth, like filming them in the booth, I wonder how funny it would, like the difference of like how they, it's like, she'd probably, and then and what we've seen what Sean does. Not to downplay what they do. It's just, it's not my preferred method anymore. I get the faster and easier, because English, duh.
Right.
Because I watched, I started watching Full Metal Alchemist in English initially, but then they ran out of the English version. So my friend was giving me the subs as he was downloading them week to week. So I was watching them that way, and I was just like, oh, this is easier. And something I've never talked about much here was the reason I prefer subs, and it's easier for me, is because my dad is fairly well deaf and had to have captions on the TV. So I grew up
Right.
with captions.
Well, and this whole generation, like my kids watch everything with captions. My kids watch English things with captions.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like that. Apparently, that's a thing for everybody, like under the age of 25 anymore. So
That is weird.
Yeah, it is weird to me, and so like because they annoy the heck out of me because I'm like, you're taking a portion of my screen. Like you can
if you're in
hear
the
what
room,
they're
sure, yeah.
like, you can hear what they're saying. So do we have to have these on? And now I've got it to where like I always have the captions on.
Yeah.
But so in going through, so for whenever One Piece came out, the live action.
End of last year.
Okay, so end of last year. I'm already almost up to episode 400 of One Piece on the anime.
Yeah.
So I'm creeping up on it. And
Because they've dubbed
I
virtually all of it.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't think they're 100% up to current. But
no, they're not.
close
They're
enough.
not. They're not totally current. But I'm like so far behind what's current.
So-
like it
so
doesn't really
let-
matter to me. But I keep the subtitles on.
Yeah.
And the subtitles are direct translations of the Japanese. It's
Yeah.
not direct translations of what they're saying on screen.
Yes.
So it's kind of cool because
You can hear and see the differences.
if I see like on the bottom that I can tell that the words that are coming out of their mouth
Yeah.
are vastly different than the words I'm seeing typed out on the bottom, then I'll like glance down and read.
See if
And then
there's
I get to kind of
context.
see both. I get to see like, okay, this is how they're interpreting it in English, and
Yeah.
this is how the original one was.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of cool.
So-
but I haven't seen any that I thought like really changed the meaning of things.
Yeah.
There are some that are very different.
Yeah.
But I'm like, but they're usually sort
So-
of inconsequential.
What's interesting, at least in the translation sense, is sometimes there are words that have a similar meaning, but not the same context in Japanese. So, like aibo, that's kind of brother, partner. Like it's a very specific type of connection. But sometimes to fit it into English, we get bro. Mm-hmm. It's like no, that doesn't.
Right.
That's not exactly the same. But basically, like male partner situation, like male to male buddy, that type of thing like that. And it's one of those weird context things that sometimes when you get it from the Japanese, it doesn't translate right because they use an official word, so to speak, but it doesn't really fit the actual meaning of the thing, especially when they're making up words. Like when it's a show specific word, and then they say it, but with a normal just American accent, it's like that sounded weird.
Right.
Like if you ever watch Naruto,
I do not.
okay, so
And I won't.
I only ever watched the Japanese only.
Okay.
And then I bought the game that when it first came out. It was kind of a free roaming, like GTA style, but built in the world. I tried playing it in English. Oh, I quit. I put it down. And then within a week, they released a Japanese dub for the English game. I was like, oh, thank God. And all the character, all the voice acting, everything done in Japanese. I was like, oh my God, this is so much better.
Right.
I was like, because like the voice acting is so weird.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
It's interesting that all the English voice actors feel like any anime you watch. This is why my wife will not watch anime.
Yeah.
Is because I only watch it in dub, and so many of the characters are just voiced so obnoxiously.
Yeah.
And then I'll go and I'll
It's
watch,
true.
and then I'll go and I'll watch, the original language version, and I'm like, these people are not speaking in these horribly obnoxious tones.
Yeah.
They're just speaking in somewhat not all of them, but
Yeah. It's a
far
character
more,
voice.
But it's a character voice. But I'm like, sometimes like the seriousness of the character
Yeah.
doesn't translate into why did you do it that way? Like
Yeah.
why did you? And I feel
What was
like
the directing there? Why?
I feel like character voice acting, and I know like some people would roast me for saying this, but I feel like character acting for anime in America has to be one of the easiest jobs on the face of the planet. If you can do a goofy voice, it's like you're in.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't understand it. There's not a lot of acting that goes into it, and there's not a lot of nuance that goes
well,
into it.
that may not be fair
Because
well,
there's some,
I understand
there's
it
some
might
that
not
are
be fair.
amazing.
I'm not saying that's for everybody. Obviously,
Now
I don't
if you're
mean it
talking
as a
about
blanket statement.
dub conversions,
No, that's what I'm
I
talking
would
about.
agree with you.
No, that's exactly what I'm
Yeah,
talking
but if
about.
you're talking about just voiceover artists for dub
no,
conversions, I would
no.
agree with you there. If you're talking about just straight up voice actors, like that's
no,
very
no.
Yeah.
Not voice acting in general. I'm talking
Just
specifically
doing
about
the dub overs.
the dub overs.
And
yeah.
the thing is, there are people who only do this. Like Johnny Young Bosch of Power Rangers fame is so many main characters in anime. And it's crazy. And he's a good actor, but his voice doesn't necessarily fit. And that is kind of the thing. Like, if I hear English Ichigo versus Japanese Ichigo, I prefer just everything about the Japanese version, even though I don't understand what he's saying. I mean, I've learned enough over time. It's funny, I've watched enough dubbed or subbed anime at this point. It's not that I understand the words that are coming out of their mouths. I mean, some of them I do, just from hearing them for years now. I get the context without having to read. Because I'll catch myself, I'm doing something, but I've got a show on in Japanese, and I feel like I didn't miss anything. I was like, I came in here, I started cooking something, and it's just playing, and I'm just listening, and I was like, technically, I don't know what they said, but I know what they said. It's like, I know what happened while I was away. And I was like, it's not like I'm direct translating or anything else like that. I've never been remotely fluent in other languages.
Yeah.
You know, if I can read it, that's another story.
Right.
But good luck reading kanji, you know.
Right.
It's like if you're anything of the English world or the romantic languages, yeah, good luck reading anything in a is it not symbolic language? I forgot what it is. Either way, character-based language like that. So, by the way, what did you think of the yellow?
Oh, I
Squatch?
really liked it. That was very pleasant.
Yeah, that's a good one.
It's one of those things where you only have so much room for something in your life.
Yeah.
I'm a bourbon collector, and so I have a large. I haven't counted my bottles lately, but it's this is probably small for some people, and other people would be like, "Oh, Jesus, this guy's an alcoholic." But I probably have like 130, 140 bottles of bourbon.
It's okay. I know guys who have like hundreds.
Well, right. I mean,
it's absurd. Yeah.
I have a very good friend from our sending church that like his collection dwarfs mine, makes it look like it's nothing.
He's probably in that club that I know a lot of people I know that are in.
Probably.
Yeah.
Anyway,
That's a club?
he's actually the reason we meet at Copperhead, because he's the one that turned me on to Copperhead.
Okay, then I know who he is more than likely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I probably met and talked to him.
you probably have. Big South African dude, talks like this. But anyways, well, you might not know him.
Might know him.
Anyways, really, really great guy. But anyways, I would love to have both a Scotch collection and a whiskey collection, but I'm not starting a new collection right now. I just
At least pare down the old one first.
right. Well, no, and I won't. I mean, the thing is, I actually drink so little.
Yeah.
It would probably take me a month to go through a bottle, and that's if I was
Trying.
really going at it, right? For me,
I mean, you see what little I have there.
Yeah.
Some of those bottles I've had for years.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
just
I mean,
taking
most
so
of my
long to
bottles-
get through any of them.
most of my bottles, I've had that. I mean, that's the great thing about bourbon. Like, it can sit there for 20 years, and it's not really going to make that much of a difference.
Yeah, as long as
So-
it's not in sunlight.
It's not. Yeah, it's all in a dark cabinet or a dark closet. So, but anyways, so yeah, I would love to have a great Scotch collection. I would love to have a great whiskey collection, and I would really like to have a great tequila collection.
Speaking of
But-
which, you haven't cracked into any of the tequila over there.
That's true.
If you would like to try any, let me know.
I have, but so what I do is instead I just go and I grab the tequilas, the whiskeys, and the scotches that I really, really love.
Yeah, that
And I
you'll
just-
drink quickly.
And I just have those.
Yeah.
And then that way, if anybody comes over and they're like, "Oh, I don't really like bourbon, I like this other stuff," I'm like, "Okay, well, I got you. This is a really good one."
Yeah. I've been trying to convert people onto tequila because once I was like, yeah, why was I not drinking this all this time? It's like, whiskey's good. Don't get me wrong. I like a good bourbon.
I want to say,
And I like vodka, but vodka serves a very specific purpose.
I don't like. So I only have one bottle, and so I bought it because again, that's my modus operandi. Like I'll have one good bottle of something that I really like if it's not something that I collect. So I have one. Well, I have a mixer vodka, which is like who cares?
Sure.
And then I have a sipping vodka.
Yeah.
From a place called Alchemy, which is a distillery in Zionsville, Indiana. and it is the only vodka that I've ever had that I thought, oh, I like that all by itself.
By itself, yeah.
Right. And so I bought a bottle, and I still have
And
it.
you know, it's funny bringing that up. There is a vodka that I'm excited to get when it comes out. It's actually from Bert Kreischer and Tom Segura. So
I can't imagine that, like, trusting the palates of those two men to really
Bert-
be like, oh, wow,
well,
this is a very
Bert-
fine vodka.
No, Bert has a very refined palate for these
Okay.
things because
All
he's
right.
a heavy drinker. So he
Well,
actually
I mean,
knows
but
what tastes good.
That's kind of like the opposite of what I would
But
consider to be a
well, here's the
refined
funny
palate.
thing: is like you would think that, but
I
like,
would think that.
But also, like, Tom is not going to waste money on an investment he can't turn back, and
Yeah.
that he also wouldn't enjoy. So he's such a crazy businessman.
Well,
he won't spend a dime in that direction.
I'm always down to try anything.
So-
I want to try your Gus and Bruno before we get out of here.
Oh, by all
so
means.
I can
Believe me,
see,
that
see
is
what
not,
was born out of Letterkenny.
It's
which
not
I
hard
only
hitting by any means.
which I only know from clips on the internet, but very
Yeah.
funny clips on the internet.
I have a few of those
Yeah,
here on the wrong bank for sound.
on the wrong bank, so that it takes a while to get into them.
Well, if I just
To be fair.
It's a long one.
To be fair.
yeah,
To be fair,
that's the long one. Which, by the way, the guy who will be joining me on Monday, he dresses up as Squirrely Dan.
Oh, yeah?
Fairly often, so he's already a Letterkenny fan. And by the way, I wore the Gus and Brew shirt to Copperhead last night, and I found out that an old friend of mine, who I didn't even know was going to these trivia nights, has been watching Letterkenny for years.
Oh, right.
And I had like 10 people come up to me like, "Oh my god!" I was like, "Where'd you get that?" I was like, "Here's the link."
How did it go, by the way, trivia night?
Oh,
I
fantastic.
really wanted to go. I was
So
wasn't
I
able to.
actually had Tim and his wife came out.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. So they showed up late, so they came in at around 4.
Yeah.
But they thought it was 7:30, but they were having issues with the kids. But either way,
Well, wait, they showed up at 4 and they were late.
no. I'm sorry. Hold on. They showed up at round 4.
At round 4, I
Yes,
thought you said
sorry.
they showed up at round 4 and they were late. I'm
At
like,
round
who's
4.
getting together at a pub at 4 o'clock and they're late for trivia at a bar?
Yeah,
That's
that was
bar.
over speaking, I guess. So the first 3 rounds were actually really difficult last night, and then okay, so the first
All
round.
right, think of a hard question and we'll see if I knew it.
Okay, so they weren't straight up just question. Well, there were, but so like there were topics for each round, right?
Okay.
And there's 7 rounds, 8 questions or 8 answers rather each. The first one was figure out this song title and artist. However, it's been translated to Old English.
Oh,
So they give you
That
a
kind of
lyric in Old English and you have to figure it out.
got you.
That was not easy. And I was incredibly sure about one of them, and I was way off. Way off. And then one of them I knew the right song, didn't know the title.
So is that technically trivia? That's more like a party game.
Well, there is trivia, but it's also like it's guess the song by whatever. But the week before, what I thought was a lot of fun was they did the same thing, but it was an audio round, and they played bardcore versions of songs.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
and I already listened to Bardcore on the YouTube channel over on, it doesn't have to make sense on Friday nights. Since I don't really promote that thing. By the way, guys, if you want to write into the show and ask any questions or anything else like that, you can do that at NowYouMadeItAwkwardMail@gmail.com, which is in the description down below. You can also follow me at all the Shoky related things in the description down below. And if you would like to support the channels, you can do so on the Patreon, where they get an uncut video version of this podcast, which, well, it's going to be a bit of a mess this week because I didn't hit the record button to initially start this.
Yeah, that's the explanation for the audio earlier.
Yeah, so the audio is going to be really strange at the beginning. It's going to sound terrible and tinny, and like we're 5 feet away from the camera.
But if you stuck around this long, now you know the answer to that question, unlike the people who left 10 minutes in going, this audio is crap.
Yes, that's basically. I mean, the camera's actually not that bad.
Is it? Oh.
Yeah, but as long as the AC didn't come on, I didn't hear it. Because the AC came on, then that's all they would have heard.
Oh.
So it is what it is. But either way, what was I saying prior to that? Back to the vodka talk, because that's where we were. So Poor Osos. So 4 Bears. So it's based off their
Surprise,
2 Bears podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but apparently the guys that make it have a very scientific method of their distilling that like does a whole lot of stuff for isolating and getting rid of crappy flavors and all this other stuff. And like it actually tastes like something. So many vodkas don't taste like anything.
Right.
It's just rubbing alcohol that you're throwing in with something else. It's like I like Tito's as just a basic vodka because I think it has a flavor. It's not a crazy flavor, and some people don't like it, but I like it for what it serves. I've had some decent vodkas, but won't sit down and sip them. But this one, they say they want to drink straight. They don't want to put anything except maybe some soda. So just straight.
I mean, I'd be
soda
interested if that's how they're hawking it. I mean, I'd be.
I'm going to buy a bottle when it comes out.
Because
it's being made in Texas, so it'll be marketed here first.
there's just a lot of celebrity bourbons that I've tasted and I've been like, okay. I mean, you're selling.
Did you try the Micro
because it's your
bourbon?
name? The what?
The one from Mike Rowe that I have down there?
No.
The Noble Whiskey? Yeah, that's from Mike Rowe.
Is it?
Yeah. It's
No,
good. I like it.
I haven't had it.
I like it. That's the French oak cask.
Nice.
Yeah, so a little bit different. Because there were three different variants that you could buy.
My last alcohol purchase was and I haven't cracked it yet because I don't like it. But I have my bourbons that I collect, but I'm also in preparation for the man cave getting done and then having people over.
Yeah.
I want to have a great variety of things that you could either try or that you could make mixers with or whatever.
Yeah. So you'll have the bottom shelf for normal stuff, and then you'll have your top shelf for the
for all the bourbons and whatever.
It's like not you.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
not you.
So I actually, when I lived in Indiana, and I had guys over to share bourbon with me all the time, and it made it easier because of my collection. I kept my collection in the top of my bedroom closet because my kids, like I said, they're teenagers and they're constantly having their friends over, and I wasn't going to leave it out, where just anybody can get into it, right? So I'm not like going to drag a bunch of guys into my bedroom closet to pick out their bourbons, right? And
they're already there.
I made a menu. I made a menu, and it has like every single bottle that I have.
Yeah.
I haven't updated it since we moved from Indiana, so I'd have to update it. But
you have to blow some dust off.
But there are some bottles that I have that like have a little bit of a caveat on them.
Yeah.
And like the caveat, like a little star by them, and at the bottom it says, "If you are a good friend, you can ask for this bottle from James. If you're a really good friend, you won't."
Yeah. See, like for me, mine would be like, this is a mixer, but you could drink it straight. This one cube of ice, no more. This one, use a stone. We're not messing this up.
Right.
So yeah, I need some filtered water for the ice because our water is gross here.
Yeah.
And there's always stuff floating.
Well, just keep a gallon like under your sink or something with a purified or a distilled water.
Yeah, that's what I need to do. I mean, because we have our filter right there. But
I just bought today. Because I have like a contraption that will make crystal clear.
Yeah.
2.5-inch ice balls.
Yeah.
And like they're crystal clear. They look like they're made out of glass.
Yeah.
But it's a pain. Like that whole contraption is a pain. It's a pain to clean.
Does it have
you
to keep it moving?
You do have to clean it because like when it freezes, I don't know why like there's little white flakes that'll get on it at not the first round, but the second round. Even if you're using, which I do, only use purified water.
Yeah.
So today I just bought like an ice tray that makes the great big square ones,
square cubes, yeah.
And I'm not going to worry about them being perfect and crystal clear. But me personally, when I go to make myself like an old fashioned or whatever, now, I either am using my little moon shaped cubes that my freezer makes, or I've got like we call it the bougie ice. We've got the bougie ice.
Yeah,
machine
you got your little ice machine
Sonic,
off to the side.
the Sonic ice, and neither one of those are great for that.
Yeah, thanks for that. By the way, Jessica wants one.
Well, yeah, go for it.
Because I have all this counter space that's available, right?
Well, and they're noisy little jerks too.
Yeah, because I mean, you'll it's off, but or else you would hear how loud this ice maker is.
Yeah,
and it is terrible. Actually, speaking of which, let me grab that bottle right quick.
Which one is that?
The Micro Noble whiskey.
Yeah. So, I just grabbed one of those today. But so my latest purchase was absinthe, because I've had absinthe. My wife and I had absinthe years and years ago. At the time, like legit absinthe was not legal because they had outlawed anything that had wormwood in it. And so I was not interested at all in trying it because I'm like, well, why am I drinking it if it's not what people drank like back in the movies, and it's not what Poe drank, and it's not, you know, what all these intellectual people that would sit down and make it their muse, you know. I'm like, well, why would I want that? So when it did come out and it had the wormwood in it, we went and bought it. So what I didn't know is that absinthe basically, to me, at least the bottle that I had, it just tasted like black licorice, which I loathe. I loathe black licorice. I can't stand it. I don't like it.
Black licorice.
No, I don't like it at all.
Did you have the spoon with the sugar? And
Yeah,
all that?
so we did. Yeah, so we did it the proper way. We
set it on fire.
What do they call that? Loaming.
I think so.
Yeah,
Sounds right. Sounds like a thing you're supposed to do.
So, but anyways, So something about my wife. Well, first of all, as a pastor, let me put this caveat out there. Bible says don't get drunk. So I know a lot of people think it's weird that a pastor would drink anything.
Unless
like,
it's
I
in the
thought pastors didn't drink, but I do drink, but I don't get drunk, and that's my belief set. My wife cannot get drunk.
Yeah, you told me that. I thought that was crazy.
She's absolutely incapable of getting drunk. When I was a much younger man and didn't care so much what the scripture said, I tried to get my wife drunk just to see, because I thought it'd be funny. Like, oh, what is this girl like when she... And so she drank an entire bottle. And when I say an entire bottle, I mean like an entire full, not the small bottles, the big bottles of Cabo Wabo tequila. Oof. A whole bottle by herself. No, I think I took one shot out of it. No. She drank the rest of the bottle by herself.
Yeah.
Didn't act any differently, didn't slur her words, wasn't acting loopy at all. Literally just about 20 minutes after she had finished the bottle. And this was in a short amount of time. I'm surprised she didn't die.
Yeah, that's like this straight alcohol poisoning.
Yeah, it was like, I'm surprised she didn't die. I mean, like I've said, we were very young and very stupid. She just literally 20 minutes after she was like, I don't feel good. And so she just like went over, went over to the sink and like yacked it all up and then came and sat back down like nothing happened.
Her whole stomach was tequila. Yeah, you wouldn't feel good at that point.
So anyways, and that was like maybe attempt 3 or 4. So the last, last hurrah was when they released absinthe and it had wormwood in it. And they were like, okay, this stuff will really mess you up. Yeah. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to get her to drink a bunch of absinthe. So I had it. I tried. I mean, I drank my one because I was going to be a man and drink it. I hated it. Yeah. She liked it. She liked the flavor. She liked the flavor. She liked the stuff. So she had like 4 or 5 of these absinthe drinks. Yeah. And it's like Legolas when he's having the contest with Gimli. Yeah. Like 4 or 5 of these things. And she literally, as a matter of fact, she might have said what Legolas said. I think she literally said, I think I feel a tingling. Yeah. You know? And that was it. Like that's the wormwood eating at her nerves. Yeah. That's as close as it ever got with her. So, my wife is like the chick from Indiana Jones. Like we should just like set it up to where she's drinking guys under the table and making all kinds of money. Yeah, Marion. Yeah. I wanted to say Karen for some reason. Oh, that's her real name, isn't it?
The actress?
Yeah, isn't her name Karen? I don't know. Karen was what came to my brain, and I knew it wasn't right, so I didn't say it. But
carry on.
So yeah, that's a
biblical name.
Carry on.
Carrion.
Carrion is in the Bible.
Cheers.
Cheers. Oh dear. Drink it first.
Nice.
So which one? Oh, this is the noble.
This is the micro noble whiskey, named after his grandfather.
Work hard, play fair, be noble. Spelled with a K. Yeah. There's a peanutty flavor to that.
Yeah, a little bit. Little nutty.
That's an interesting.
Yeah, it's the barrels. Yeah, that's the difference in the barrels on this
American oak.
American oak, not French oak. Oh, yep. That's what it is. Okay. So here's the other part. I got that signed Mike Rowe picture on the fridge.
Oh yeah.
I got a signed.
Where did you meet him?
With the bottle. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, so, it came with the bottle.
So you can buy it online.
Oh, okay.
So got the signed picture. The bottle is signed. So he's got his signature on top and on the side. It has a signed thing about authenticity with the number. But also, I chose that one because part of the proceeds went to the Mike Rowe Foundation for helping kids learn trades and whatnot. Right. And I completely believe in that. Oh yeah. So, and I mean,
the richest people soon are going to be the electricians and the plumbers and the HVAC guys. Well, I mean, they already make really, really good money.
This one needs a little ice.
Come on. No, it doesn't.
No, just in my opinion. It's not as smooth as the
yellow
spot. The yellow spot is stupid.
That's stupid smooth.
By the way, that one came That one came on the recommendation of my buddy Alan, who has been on this show, my Irish friend who literally sells whiskey and beer.
Yeah. No, yellow spot's good. All the spots, the red spot, the green spot.
I have not
they're all
had
good.
any spot except for the yellow spot.
Okay, they're all good.
Yeah, no. And I was looking at them all, and I'm like, I was looking at the flavor profiles, and I'm like, this one sounds like me. So I was like, I was reading the green spot. I'm like, this sounds like it's going to be peaty, and I'm getting away from it. But I also have like 15 different green spots. We have all kinds of different blends and barrels, and I was like, oh my god. Although the tequila over there is all the good shit.
So my new favorite
Except for that
tequila.
one.
So there's a tequila called Fortaleza.
Yeah,
Fortaleza is sort of like the Blantons or the Stag Junior of the tequila world.
Yeah.
In that it's very hard to find it anymore, and that it has been overpriced now.
Of course.
But when I discovered Fortaleza, it was not. It was not that. Apparently, somebody about 2 or 3 years back made a TikTok that went viral about Fortaleza, and now you can't find it. Now it's like the it thing to have.
Of course.
It actually is really, really, in my opinion, really, really good tequila.
I've actually never had it.
No additives or anything like. Well, next time you come over, I've got all three. I've got
Hell yeah.
I've got Blanco, Reposado, and Añejo. But
Nice.
very little left of the latter. But I've got a brand new full bottle of the Blanco. But anyways, really good stuff.
I'm a Repo fan anyways.
Yeah, really good stuff. Can't find it anywhere now. So the last time I saw I saw the Blanco in a store, and I overpaid a little bit for it, but it's because I was down to that much in the bottom of my Blanco
But
bottle.
is the Blanco that good?
I like it.
Well, the only reason I ask is because the Blanco is no aging. It's no barrel, no
but
aging.
I think it has a really great flavor.
And it can. I'm just saying because I've only had experience with a handful of Blancos and some White Dog whiskeys, which is the same concept.
Yeah.
With whiskey. Actually, I have a White Dog right over there from a Texas distillery.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
One of the best things I've ever had in my life was we went to the Bardstown Distillery in Kentucky, and they went and they got us the White Dog right out of the thing that they're shooting it up, whatever,
Straight out of the mash.
straight out of the mash. It's on its way to go be made into a bourbon, and they took that out and they poured it in a cup for it. No, they didn't pour it in a cup. We actually just drank it right out of the label because it's like rubbing alcohol, right?
Yeah, it really
who's
is.
it gonna
Yeah.
hurt? So we just took it right out.
They check your eyesight after.
Yeah. They took it right out of the label. That stuff tasted like liquid Jelly Belly buttered popcorn jelly beans.
Wow.
And I took a sip of that, and my eyes and I was like, why are you not bottling that? Why are you messing this up by putting it in any kind of a barrel?
How dare you put this in a barrel?
So at the time, Bardstown, they had
funny.
made their own bourbons, but they had not. But they were such a new company that their bourbons had not aged enough yet to release them.
Yeah.
So all Bardstown was really doing was releasing other people's.
Makes sense.
Or was making.
It's a contract distillery.
Contract distillery. So,
Yeah.
so they were like, "This isn't ours. This is somebody else's," and
100%,
And I was
yeah.
like, so, anyways, yeah.
So-
I haven't had a lot of White Dogs, but so back to the tequila. So
Yes.
Fortaleza, you can't find it now. That pisses me off because I'm like, it's not my fault that somebody made a stupid TikTok and now I can't find my favorite tequila.
What do the
anywhere.
bottles look like?
Fortaleza, they're they're flat.
They're squarish.
Yeah, they're squarish and pretty tall, and then they've got like an agave cork that looks like agave on it.
I think I had a bottle of it,
Did you?
and we drank it up at a party.
That would make sense.
Because I was like, wait a minute, that sounds like one of the ones I had. Because I inherited most of my tequilas from my buddy Leo when he quit drinking.
Okay.
And he's the one who gave me my tequila education one night. Went through like 12 different tequilas from all over, tasting the flavor profiles from the highlands to lowlands, all that stuff, the blending, the blancos, the añejos. I got all that education in one night.
Did you learn that Patron was very overrated? And
Yeah,
basically
Patron is garbage. Are you kidding me?
basically crap tequila.
I've
yeah.
always thought Patron was garbage.
Well, good. Then he taught you well.
Yeah, he didn't even have to teach me that. I knew that part. Because I even have some. The thing over there that I rate probably the lowest is the G4, which is actually one of the highest rated ones over there because I think it's highly rated because a lot of people can drink it. And I think it's just It's just very
Right.
But like a couple of the bottles over there are still from him. The El Tesoro is still from him. And then I think one other bottle is specifically from him, but we drank through a lot of the other stuff. But now that you mentioned that, I'm like, I think I did.
Well, it
have
would
a
make sense
Fortaleza.
it's not still here because Fortaleza is really good. So
It was
makes sense
good,
it's
but
gone.
I don't remember it compared to the stuff I have over there now.
Right.
Because I have the Clase Azul, which is my favorite, but stupid expensive.
Right.
The base bottle of the Repo is $129.
Yeah.
The base bottle. If you want to get into the really crazy stuff, then like the gold, what I have left of the gold over there is $330.
Right.
And got that on one of our vacations to San Antonio. And I'm like, I got the money. I can justify this. And then never told Jessica how much it cost.
Yeah. No, that's always a good idea.
But like the rest of the stuff over there, I've either picked up since. Like I legit think only the El Tesoro is the only one that I still have left over that I originally got from him. Because I have some over there that's from Bartlett's here in town. You know, local
I
distillery.
haven't had anything from Bartlett's.
Well, try it. I got their whiskey and their tequila. If you want, whenever you want to try it, let me know.
So what I have
Or
discovered.
I'm sorry, their agave spirit.
Okay.
Because they
Yeah,
cannot
they can't-
legally
right,
call
right.
it tequila because it's not made in Mexico.
Right. So we're at Total Wine, and I'm always on the lookout for the Fortaleza. I can never find it, and
This is
they're
getting nicer
they're
as it's breathing.
that's how alcohol works, Shoky. So, anyways, they're sampling out all these
Yes.
tequilas, and it's called Mi Familia Flores,
Yes.
and
I've seen it.
those are amazing. They have now. I kind of want to call BS on them because they say that they're completely additive free. They say that.
Yeah.
They say that.
Yeah.
But then there's one that tastes like birthday cake.
Yes. I
There's
know
one that
exactly which one you're talking
There's
about.
one
too.
that tastes like creme brulee. There's
Yeah.
one that tastes like.
I think I tried the whole lineup.
Yeah, I mean, but they're really good though. Like if you like a sweet tequila,
Yes.
they're really good. So I have like
So-
3 different bottles of the Mi Familia Flores.
And they've got the like crazy looking.
Yeah, they're pretty-
So I tried that whole lineup,
pretty
and I was like,
funky.
once I got past the Repo, I'm like, this is crap.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're in Yeho. I'm like, it's like I get why people would want this, but I don't want this.
The sweet stuff I like.
The sweet stuff was-
the
that's what I
regular
said.
stuff.
Yeah.
I did. Yeah, the regular stuff I didn't care for.
Yeah, it's like this is not added.
like their
free. There's
Blanco
no
was
way.
not
Their
good,
Blanco was
and-
not good.
and-
The Repo was fine.
Yeah.
but I still left with
They had
the
a
El
bourbon barrel aged
Telequino.
one. It was okay.
Yeah, that's weird. The bourbon barrel tequila, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which actually I have a bourbon barrel tequila over there that I picked up in Maryland, made specifically for that store. So you can't
really?
buy it anywhere else. Same thing with the Breckenridge whiskey I've got down
Yeah.
there. Same thing. Store picks, which is great. But I tried that whole Mi Familia Flores line, right? And I still left with the $24 of El Telequino because that is really, really good base tequila.
Yeah.
And I've only tried the Repo. I haven't gone into any of the other stuff for them. And,
Yeah.
if I had more room, I'd buy one of the big bottles because I can drink that anytime.
Yeah.
It's like, for me, that's like, if Clase Azul is the top, and I know a lot of people are like, it's not the best, it just costs the most. I was like, fair, but for me, that's my top.
Yeah.
You know, show me the stuff that tastes better that I can't afford, I'll go there.
Right.
But for me, it's like Clase Azul, El Telequino. It's like, to me, it's just like they're so close in flavor and nowhere near each other on price.
Right.
It's insane.
Yeah. And for that kind of stuff, it's like
If I want the $25 version of my $125 tequila, I go there.
right.
If I find another option that's in that same vein, because I actually like the balance between like just the straight sweetness and a little bit of the pepper.
Yeah.
I like the very pepper forward ones, but I'm not going to drink a lot of that.
I have a tequila. As a matter of fact, I had a sip of it last night. My daughter didn't make me one. Shelly was getting home from work, and we were gonna have Mexican food. And my oldest daughter, who's not of drinking age yet, she's a few months away. She's 20. But she has really gotten into. She fancies herself a mixologist in training.
Bartender, yeah.
In training. And so she really likes to go experiment with whatever in there, and she'll make Shelly and I drinks, and the trade-off is that I let her taste it, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, she really should be tasting it if she's mixing it, because otherwise...
I know a lot of people who have done this exact setup with their kids, too.
Right.
It's funny.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I didn't ask her to.
Yeah.
She wanted to
It's just
do
the way it worked out,
She
yeah.
She just wanted to do it. So anyways, we went to a place called Uncle Julio's, which is like right outside of our neighborhood, just a Mexican restaurant. And the food's okay, but the margarita, they have a margarita called the El Jefe.
Of course.
It's amazing. It's very spicy. Well, I say very. When I say very spicy, I mean for a margarita, it's very spicy.
Like actually has hot stuff in
Well,
it?
it has.
Or it's
Well, it has a
the booze is spicy?
It has a ghost pepper tequila.
Okay.
So yes, it's spicy, and yes, it's spicy.
I have a very small bottle of that over there,
Yeah.
probably.
So, anyways, it has a ghost pepper. Now they infused their own. We went and found.
Which is fun.
We went and found a ghost pepper tequila just in the bottle. But yeah, that was really good. Like I enjoy a good spicy anything kind of a drink, and yes, I mean spicy hot, not spicy high ABV. Yeah, it's good
Well,
stuff.
spicy, but I mean it's going to burn your mouth one way or the other, right?
Right, two
But,
different kinds of burn.
It's like, but adding spice to something with a lot of alcohol just burns double, you know. But I like a good Mexican candy margarita mix, but like on the spicy side. Like I want it to be watermelon-y, and I want that tahini, but I also want the heat.
I don't like tahini,
But I only like tahini in that situation.
I don't like it in it. I keep trying.
Yeah.
I literally just threw. I should have just given him to you. I literally just threw away my son before he moved to Minnesota. I don't know why he did this, but he went and bought like 4 big bottles of tahini seasoning.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I'm still going through the small bottle I have, so I
just-
wouldn't have needed that.
I tossed them all out because I'm like, we're literally never going to.
I use it a little bit
out of my
in
pantry.
Food. Yeah, I use it a little bit in food, but I mostly use it in drinks. Because what I'll do is I'll do what I call Mountain Doritas. So I just take different flavors of Mountain Dew and try to match up the alcohol I think that will go best with it. So I'll grab the watermelon Mountain Dew and mix it up with a bunch of ice. If I can blend it down, I will sort of make it like that. But I'm throwing in whatever tequila, and I'm throwing in tahini and probably some a splash of hot sauce for a little bit of heat, or some red pepper flakes, something just to kick up the heat a little bit. But actually, do you see the skull-shaped bottle over there?
Yeah, I didn't look to see if it had a label.
It doesn't have a
that was
label.
just like your mixer bottle or what?
No, that came from Leo. He doesn't remember what it is. But here's the weird thing. I think what he told me it is, and I tried it, and I'm like, okay, it's like a spicy mead.
Okay, that sounds terrible, to be honest.
I think. It does have some heat to it. I've only drank it once.
I don't know, man. If my friend were giving up drinking and he gave me a skull bottle and he was like, I have no idea what this is, I would
He
be
forgot
so
what it is,
trepidatious.
to be fair.
I would
He
be so
forgot what it is.
trepidatious to drink it.
It was good, but it's like weird. But also, it's like it's a cool bottle, so I don't want to toss it.
Right. No, it is. Yeah. I
And
saw
if
the
someone
bottle
will
is very
drink
cool.
it, then
I've
it'd
got
be worth
two. You might have seen them before. I've got 2 of the Stormtrooper helmet
I did not see
bottles. Yeah. So I've got 2 of those. One of them is my Infinity Bourbon bottle. So I just, if I get down to the last little bit of a bourbon bottle and there's not really enough for a drink, then I pour it in the helmet.
Okay.
And then I got another. And I've had that one for a while. And actually, that one was my Scotch, because I actually started out as a Scotch guy.
Okay.
And I still love Scotch.
Yeah.
But I like bourbon more. I've had this thing, and it's an infinity bottle, because obviously you just keep filling it with whatever's left in your leftover bottle. So my Scotch one didn't have a whole lot in it because, like I said, I don't drink a lot. I don't get down to the bottom of bottles very often.
Yeah.
But I got another bottle for Christmas, another Stormtrooper. So that one, and I got to put a label on it. I haven't started filling it yet.
So it's basically just your own like little decanter bottle.
right. It's just your own little decanter, and you call them an infinity bottle because
Are they clear or are they white?
Yeah, they're clear.
Okay, so one thing I was going to say is they need a Vader one, and you just need to fill it with Kraken because it's black, and it would just look
We have
cool.
a bottle of Kraken.
That would
That's our mixer rum that I have.
yeah. It's like, and I don't drink a lot of rum, like really ever.
I have one you should try when you come over.
Well, I mean, I'll try anything, but I'm not a giant rum fan. I've had
You'll
rum.
be a
that
giant rum fan. We should try this one.
I have had rum that I like, but I'm not actively seeking rum.
Right.
It's like, especially since
I'm
I
trying to
discovered
remember the
tequila
name.
doesn't give me a hangover.
I'm trying to remember the name of it. So I've got like one. I've got my sipper, because like I told you, like I'll buy a really, if I find something that I think, oh, that's really good, then that's what I have of that for sipping. So I need to look it up. Starts with a Z.
Speaking of which, you need any more water?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Zacapa. So
Zacapa.
yeah, Zacapa. So I've got a bottle of. It's like they're like $110 bottles.
Jeez.
Of rum, and that's our sipper rum. So next time you come over, just remind me, and I'll.
Yeah, when you come over on a
You'll become a rum
non-official
fan.
capacity, like because it's only ever been
Yeah,
under
yeah.
official capacities.
It's always church stuff.
Yeah, it's always church related. I mean, we're available for non-church activities.
Yes.
You can rent us out for non-church.
Well, the
activities.
problem is, so
having actual home time.
I was sharing with Shoky earlier. We've been doing the church plant thing for a year now, And just this month, actually just yesterday, I actually got my first paycheck that will hopefully be a normal paycheck. And in the meantime, Shelly's been working 2 jobs to like keep our family afloat. So Shelly's never available, and if she is available, she just wants to sit on the couch and rest. Like so, and she doesn't even always get to do that because I mean we have we have a Sunday night group that meets at our house. That's our core team, like our leadership team. Yeah. So I mean we're doing that. And so if she works Sundays, which is fairly often, she has to come home and then she has to do like 2 hours of peopling, which she'll do. I mean, she loves it, but it's exhausting, you know? Yeah. So anyways, it's really hard to invite people over to do anything right now just because of her situation. Yeah. But as soon as she's done with that, like we'll start having people over all the time and whatever.
Well, that in your house, your house is getting significantly more done.
Yes, yeah,
which has helped a lot.
Because
it was still in a decently unfinished stage the first time we came over.
Right. Well, and it still kind of is, but it's at least doable. You know. So,
which by the way, let me know when we come help with the floors and whatnot upstairs.
So interestingly enough, like I heard this story from, and you'll know all the names. I mean, I know your listeners won't know these people, but like one of the coolest things about what we're doing. When people think of church, I think they think about, showing up to a building on a Sunday morning and getting preached at, or maybe they just really enjoy the sermon, or maybe they feel like they're getting preached at, and then they get asked for money and then they go home. That's not what we're trying to build, and so it's not what we've been building. What we've been building are relational small groups where people actually care about each other and they're actually there for each other. And like you've been a big part of that. It's been really cool to like hear about.
I mean, I've been a small part of it.
even at the small group, that we were last at, when it was over, you were driving one of the guys home because he doesn't have a ride. So I mean, it was just really cool. Like that's the kind of community that we're building. It's the kind of community that Christ wants us to be in. Yeah. So, anyways. On the day that we last met for our small group, I had started that day having lunch with one of our parishioners who is experiencing this and who is leading one of these women's groups. And she ended up saying to like one of the other women that she had a photo shoot she needed to go do. She has a young child.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, her husband's traveling or at work, and so like her husband couldn't watch their little girl. Yeah, and she's like, it's going to be a pain because I'm going to. And so this woman's like, well, why don't I just come watch her? And she's like, oh, well, would you? And so that was cool.
What's funny? Speaking on that. Mm-hmm. So whenever we did the Monday service at the Christensen or the Christofferson's, the other night, we were kind of making the joke that this is definitely the place to have kids because even if you don't watch them, somebody's taking care of them. Yeah, and I was like, and
it's like one giant family.
Yeah, it is like a giant family. It's like at that point, I even told Jessica, I was like, look, if we're gonna be around these people. We got all the little kids. Like she likes the not to mention names, but the one you were just speaking of. Mm-hmm. Knows her a little bit more from women's group and whatnot like that. So I'll be like, if you've got any kind of time and she needs a break to go do work or something like that, and the husband's not around, it's like, why don't you volunteer to go watch her? It's like, one, you want to get more into the kid vibe as we're attempting to make one of our own. Right. It's like, the hard part is like, I know she desperately wants a baby, but I'm wondering if she's ready for a child. I'm ready for a child.
No. The answer is no, because nobody is.
No, but here's the funny part. For me, I am good with kids. I do not do babies. Yeah. Well, she wants babies, and I don't know how she's going to be with kids. Now, she's never been around them. But
I both was the same and am the same. I still am not a huge babies fan. I like other people's babies. Yeah. But
see, and everybody's always told me, it's like, well, when you have your own, you'll feel different. I was like, I don't think I will.
And you probably won't.
And they're like, well, why? It's like, one, because I don't do well dealing with shit in general, and that's half their priority. The other half is I have little patience with things that can't adjust.
Right. And they cannot.
And then they can't adjust. And it's like, and that's just me knowing me. And like, yes, I will find said patience with experience in theory, but the idea is like the things that I have had the least amount of interaction with would be newborn humans.
Right.
And because there have always been other people's, it's a different story.
Well,
but
I mean,
you
the
feel
great
a little
thing-
bit weirder with someone else's than your own. You'd be like, well, if I break it, it's mine.
You're right,
You know?
exactly. The great thing about newborn humans is they have no idea how much you're screwing it up. So it's all good.
I have a feeling my child will remember everything. It's like, because I have such a ridiculous memory, except when I need to. It's like, I can remember anything I need to when I don't need to.
Right.
But
Well, they won't need to remember how badly you screwed it up.
But it's like, well, I also remember a lot from being young, and a lot of people don't. Like, I
I
don't
remember
go
a
back,
lot from being young, but like I don't remember
like, do you remember like
suckling
two?
at my mother's teeth
No,
or
but
anything.
no, nothing like that. There are other weirdos that have that awareness, and that would be strange to not have that locked off. But like, I remember young, like 2 years old.
Oh
at
yeah,
least.
I remember stuff from when I was 2.
And this was a question that I brought up a while back. Not to just go deep into this, is like, do you remember when you first switched on? Like, because you probably don't, because it's been so long now. But if I asked you 10 years ago, you probably would remember a little bit more about when your earliest.
You mean just kind of like when you
memories.
become like conscious of like
When you become conscious
I am a
of
being
memory.
that exists in this
Yeah.
world and have my own little life. So yes, I do. But to be fair,
To be fair. To be fair.
it had to do with this scar right here.
Okay,
I have a little scar right there.
I got you.
And on my wrist, and I was only just old enough to have learned how to walk.
Yeah.
And my sisters, who were both older than me, went outside of this glass swinging door. And so I'm walking towards it with both of my hands out like this,
yep.
and I just went right through the glass.
How young were you?
So my mom says that I had just learned to walk. So,
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a terrible door.
And I remember, yeah,
If a toddler can go through it that easy.
you know, it was the '80s, so
Fair point.
and I remember that. I remember that very clearly. Like I remember how tall the door looked.
Yeah.
I remember that my sisters, who would not have been like any taller than 3 feet tall, I remember that like they towered over me.
Yeah.
And I remembered doing that. Something startling happening, which would have been the glass breaking. I remembered I was startled by it.
Yeah.
And then I remember feel like that
Figured the pain-
my wrist didn't feel right.
Yeah.
So I looked at it.
Even though you don't have a word for that yet.
I didn't have a word for it.
Yeah.
So I looked at it and I remember what it looked. It just like laid open. It just kind of went,
Yeah. Flaps open. Yeah.
you know, and just like laid open, and then all this red started flowing
Yeah.
down my arm. And I just
So
remember
you
like
have a very visceral reason to have that memory.
I think that may be my first memory.
Yeah, it makes sense because, like, I remember as a joke, a comedian said, "It's like I think I first switched on because I had a really big poop that hurt, and like pushing it out. You know, babies really go when they go.
They sure do.
And the joke was that it was such a big turd, it literally switched on his brain because the actual feeling was so ridiculous. But it makes sense that it would be pain related like that as well. But I also
that's
feel
the
like
thing,
it's
though.
a ring
I
cam.
don't remember it hurting.
No, you didn't remember it as pain. But it was
I remembered
there.
it being like something's off.
Yeah.
And so then my mother starts screaming because she walks in the
You have a
room
lot of trauma
and sees her little
response to it, yeah.
her little baby that's like sitting there and standing there in
Amongst
a pool
shattered
of blood
glass.
and in a diaper, just
Yeah.
watching it kind of do its thing.
Yeah.
And she said I wasn't crying, or I was just like watching it. And so, anyways, and then they took me to the hospital, whatever.
Weird question. Do babies go into shock faster?
I don't know.
Because I would think they would.
I don't know.
Because they have no ability to deal with pain. So I would think that either the shock response is instant, which in your case, you know,
just remember- I know it
slicing
didn't
your
hurt.
wrist open would definitely be. I mean, I did the same thing with a window with. Sorry, wrong arm. This arm right here, tiny little scar you can see right there. I was doing a similar thing, but I wasn't walking. I was pounding on the door because my cousin had locked me out of the house, and then my hand went right through it, and then sliced my arm open. It wasn't super deep, thank God, but it still bled. But in a young memory, not baby, not even close. I think I was probably like 6 or 7. And we did a big family reunion, I think in San Antonio. I honestly don't remember where it was, but it was at a hotel. And I remember this is the first time I was ever shown how to roll down a hill, you know, and how fun that can be. So all the cousins are rolling down the hill, nice grassy hill down towards, there was like a little water thing down there. And I rolled down the hill, God knows how many times, right? And then we all ran inside to whatever hotel room where everybody was hanging out at the time. And I remember my brother Scott is sitting on the bed, and mind you, he's going to be like 20 something at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember him looking down and goes, "Hey, what's that on your leg?" And there was blood coming out of my shorts.
Mm-hmm.
And I had rolled over what we assume was a broken glass bottle.
Okay.
And I have you probably can't see it anymore because it was so young, but it sliced my thigh open.
Mm.
And I was just bleeding. Never felt it at all. Like, didn't even feel the pain at the time.
Right.
Because also I had like all the adrenaline and everything going on, and all the fun, happy time.
Really sharp, whatever. I mean, the sharper
It just rolled straight over it instantly. There's nothing even in it. There's no. The wound was clean. It's crazy. I mean, I was dirty in general, but like, as a kid, it was like that. It was a huge gash, and I remember basically we just dealt with it in the hotel.
Yeah.
Like no hotel, no hospital, no one to get stitches or nothing like that. And we scrambled to get like a huge bandage or something. I don't remember, but like it only hurt when somebody got a bottle of like peroxide or alcohol and poured it in there to get it clean. That hurt.
Right.
But the actual wound, even after that, I don't recall the pain associated having a large gaping wound on my left thigh. You know. And that's a weird thing, though. But like I think back and like I remember a lot of stuff from my young ages. You know, first day of school ever. You know, and probably first day of daycare because I did daycare first. So 2 or 3 years old, right? Meeting other kids for the first time and all that kind of stuff. I remember the first day that I saw the girl that was my quote unquote girlfriend in daycare. Her name was Megan, and she was a cute Megan. It was Megan. She was a redheaded little girl. She was wearing literally like a white fluffy shirt and red jumper basically.
And you had it bad. I remember that
like,
well.
Yeah, but literally this is a core memory.
Yeah.
Because I saw it was literally like in the movies when you see her coming down the slide and then we meet like that, and then we were in the same daycare for couple of years maybe. I don't even know how long I was there, technically speaking.
Yeah.
And of course we went our separate ways later. In fact, I don't remember her last name. I just remember her first name was Megan, because actually my first quote unquote official girlfriend was also named Megan, and part of me wondered if it was the same girl and I'd just somehow caught up with her significantly later. No, it wasn't.
It was not.
I think if I try hard enough, I'll remember her name, because I know it was.
Well, that'd be impressive, because I remember. So I had 2 kindergarten crushes, not daycare. I never went to daycare.
Yeah,
but I would have been 4 years old because we started kindergarten when you were 4. Unlike today, was when you were 5. So I would have been 4 years old. Okay. And there was
that was a daycare for a while then.
There were 2 girls that I was hot on even back then, and obviously back then, like, it's a different kind of like you're just kind of struck like, oh, love female thing, different than me. I like, and you don't really understand anything about the rest of how that works. But Renee and Andrea, and I still remember their names.
Interesting.
Yeah, but I don't know their last names.
I think my brain wants to say it was Megan Mick something. I feel like it, because I know my first girlfriend effectively was Megan. It was real easy to remember, real short, one syllable last name. So that one was easy. But yeah, it wasn't her. But she was also redheaded. It was just apparently I had a thing without knowing I had a thing.
Yeah.
I feel like somewhere maybe this is not going to be an I statement. This is going to be a everyone statement. I feel like somehow someone has a thing about redheads. Like, there's a lot of people who have a thing about redheads without knowing they have a thing about redheads. But I think it is just the red hair color and the way nature works. Things that are brightly colored red usually was seen as danger.
My daughter just dyed her hair black from red, and I was like, she asks me, and I'm not one of those dads that's just gonna like fill your head with fluff. Like, you asked my opinion, I'm gonna give it to you. She's like, so what do you think, Dad? I was like, I think you make a really great redhead.
Yes.
She's like, so you don't like the black? I said, you make a really great redhead.
I'm glad that she added the other colors to it, because when it was straight black,
she did some pink now.
Yeah, the little burst of color was good, because like, I mean, I know she does have some goth tendencies.
She likes to dress goth, but she doesn't act goth.
No, yes, but like it's all like a visual thing, right? From what I've been experiencing, it's like because she's so bright, like she puts out such bright lightness.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
She's got a
to
great
go so dark.
She's got a great countenance.
Yeah.
So when Shelly was her age, well, actually younger, really, when Shelly was in her mid-teens, she wanted to go goth.
Yeah.
And she does not have a goth personality.
Yeah.
She can go dark, but in general,
that's when,
Shelly. Like Shelly's like just super bubbly and nice and what she's like very, very smart, but she's
a dork.
She's
In a
very
good
much
way.
a dork. She's
In a great way.
Yeah, in the best way. And so, to kind of imagine her trying to be goth is a little weird.
Yeah.
But she really she likes that.
I feel
she
like
likes
the commitment
aesthetic.
to it would be epic, though.
She likes the aesthetic of goth, and well, really, and I do too, and obviously Kira does. But she felt like when she was a teenager, she really felt like God told her, "No, you are not meant to go down." Shelly did. You're not meant to go down that path, because if you do go down that path, like it's going to kind of alter who you are as a person.
Yeah.
And you're
So no
not
working,
meant to.
no working at Hot Topic.
I guess, yeah, she wasn't allowed to work at Hot Topic, so she worked at the Dairy Queen instead. But anyways, that's a really great segue to finish the story I was saying. So this girl asks one of our girls to babysit or volunteers to babysit. And then later on in the conversation, she says that her in-laws are coming later that night on the same day that she needs babysat. So one of our women, like, who's going to go babysit for her, shows up 3 hours early. And she's freaking out. She's like, "Oh, my house isn't clean, blah, blah, blah. I wasn't ready for you to come 3 hours early." And she was like, "Well, yeah, I know. That's why I'm here. You said your in-laws are coming. I know you're busy. I know you got a kid. And I'm here to help you clean." And she starts like doing her dishes and vacuuming her floors and stuff. And like, so this other lady's just in tears. She's like, "Why are you doing this?" And she goes, "Well, I thought this is what we do. Like,
this is what we do for people, right?
Isn't this the body of Christ? Like, aren't we family? Like, this is what families do for each other." So then so I hear that story at lunch. And then later that night, Tim is talking about like how he wants to help people out for free to do construction stuff.
Yeah.
And then you were like, "Well, when you're ready to do that, I'll give you a hand." And I'm sitting there going, the only reason I haven't asked is because I'm being a prideful goat. Like, so I was just like, well, if it's good enough for one of our ladies, like, I think I could probably ask for help. So one of these days soon, we will.
Well, I keep telling you,
we will have a party up in the media room.
I'm going to help you.
I know.
Like one way or
the
the other,
man
helping
cave I feel is different because when the man cave is done, all of the guys who helped me get to come over and use it like frequently.
Well, I mean, it just one thing is I was raised a carpenter.
Yeah.
Like unfortunately, I don't have many examples anymore of my carpentry skills here. But I mean, like as a child, I helped build our house. And by that, I mean, I badly hammered in some nails somewhere. But I learned how to build a house from scratch as a child.
Right.
And I applied those skills later in life when I had to rebuild my own place.
Yeah.
But then we grew up building everything. If you ever go to my parents' property, anything you see, we built by hand. All of it. Everything that's there.
Yeah.
So I learned how to build a proper A-frame structure for something. I learned how to build a table from scratch. I learned how to build cabinetry, all this other stuff, partially on interest and partially out of necessity. Like, actually, what's really funny, so the last thing I technically built was actually I rebuilt a table. So it was one that I already had built. And I think I've told this story here before, but it was a 7-foot by 4-foot dining table.
Okay.
But it was a beer table. So it had 2 troughs in the middle for ice. And I built it on sliding leaves so that it would close and just be a normal table.
Right.
But I did all the hardwood surface out of oak and pine, biscuit jointed, all the design, all of that intricate design, did it all for the fun of it. I did a yearly project for my birthday, and it was a huge table. The only thing I did crappily was the legs. I just some legs just to get it out the door, right? And it only got used properly once ever, and then it sat in the crappy living room of my trailer for years until I moved out. Or was kicked out, I should say. And so it went into my dad's shop the frame of it went into the shop, but the top of it ended up being out in the carport, laying on the ground, and it warped a bit.
Sure.
So I said, look, I can't really rebuild this table. I ended up tearing down all the 2x4 and 2x6 structure, reusing that to build the frame of the new table, where I took the 2 halves of the top and cut a 36-inch round And then I built 2 separate small tables that could be latched together to be one like card table. Mm-hmm. Now that still exists at my cousin's house.
Nice.
Because they took it out of my parents' house. It's actually being used in its secondary form of 2 separate small tables, and that's what I have stuff set on in their little. Oh, I'm sorry, that's not. Wait, whose house is that at? Okay, that's at their mom's house. That's supposed to be theirs, but I'm not getting into that right now.
Sure.
So when I saw it on New Year's, I was like, oh, that's where that ended up. Because I gave it to them to refinish and sell. Mm-hmm. Because during the pandemic, her job went to shit.
Right.
Or my cousin's girlfriend, or now wife, her job went to shit like everyone else's. And she had to do a side job. So she had a shop already in her mom's backyard. So she just started building stuff and threw Texas flavor at it. And it was called, it's a Texas thing, y'all. Was the business. So she just built stuff. So she took a lot of my old woodworking projects, refinished them, and sold them.
Right.
And I got nothing for it. It was just get it out of my mom's garage.
Right.
Including 2 chairs that I made from my spare neon seats. So I built a custom frame measured off of the dimensions of my dad's recliner and built it so that the seat sliders would bolt to it so you could still slide the seat forward and back and lean it back. And built the whole frame and made didn't have hardwood for it, but I broke down. It was all made of pallets. So I did that. I made benches from pallets from work, a double wide and then a single wide. So I had a love seat and a thing, and we had those forever until the weather killed them.
Yeah.
In fact, my aunt ended up with the small one when we moved out of our last apartment because we had nowhere to put it here. Which would have been useful on this balcony, actually, but would have been really hard to get on the balcony.
Isn't it true?
Because I couldn't take the legs off of that thing. Because it was love seat sized.
Right.
But I learned all that out of necessity. I bought all the tools. Like I told you, it's like I offered you my planer because I'm not doing anything with it. It's just sitting rotting at my parents' house.
Right.
So, whenever you get around to wanting to do the planing work, I can.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you have a vehicle to haul it in.
We're getting there. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like you have a better vehicle for that. We'll put my dirty old planer in your in your Tesla.
Well, the Tesla has a tow hitch on it, so we'll just probably put it in the trailer. And
It ain't that big.
well,
I mean, it's a cube. It's like a 2x2 cube.
Okay.
It's not huge. It's just I have a stand for it, so make life so much easier. If I didn't buy that stand, that would suck. But I refinished all that pallet wood, like stripped them all down. And here's the crazy part: the best thing I've ever made, my mom just burned because she thought it was just some unfinished crap.
right.
And it was a writing desk that I was making. But it was the most beautiful wood I've ever seen. I have no idea to this day what that wood actually was. It was like this mix of like whitish gray and red bands rolling through it. And it all came from a pallet that I grabbed from work for free. And it looked like crap. Like totally rough cut, all this other stuff. Ran it through the planer and I was like, I'm not even staining this.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not taking the natural colors out of this. So I made a tabletop out of it, and then I used the rest of the bits of that same palette to build the rest of the desk. I was just stuck at what to do about the legs. And that's where I got hung up. I had bought the drawers and everything like that. I cut the front face so that the drawer fronts were from the exact same wood as the rest of the front of the desk. And I did all that stuff. And I built the framework for the drawers, and I was hung up at the point of how to attach them properly. Was I going to go with hardware or just go old school, like wood sliding on wood?
Right.
And that's where I stopped because that was just a 1 week project and I had to get back to work.
Right.
That's back when I took vacations, when I was still single.
Remember those days?
Well, I mean, we took a good vacation last year, but I'm still paying for it, technically speaking.
I'm going on vacation for the first time in a long time. Well, I say vacation, so this is the love of a father. I haven't taken a vacation in a very long time. I'm going on vacation to St. Louis. Oh boy. But it's because my daughter really wants to own a haunted house. And I support her in that because I think it can really be a moneymaker.
I was going to say, as an attraction or like just
an
to live
attraction.
in?
Oh, she'd probably
like specify a
she'd
haunted
probably
house.
like both. No, as an attraction.
Okay.
And
so wait, there's one for sale in St. Louis?
No, she wants.
Okay.
No.
Okay,
So
I was
there's
like,
something in St. Louis called Trans World, and not that kind of trans. I don't know why it's called Trans World, but it's called Trans World. It's like the largest haunted house convention.
Oh,
In America. So all the people, like if someone owns a haunted house, they've been to Transworld. They've probably bought a lot of their props from vendors that go to Transworld.
That makes sense.
And it used to just be one convention in St. Louis, but it got big enough. Like now there's Transworld Chicago and Transworld Virginia and Transworld this, that. But St. Louis is the original.
Okay.
So it's the biggest one. So anyways, so I bought.
It's the first time hearing of any of this.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
a new world. Who would have thought?
Yeah. Who's like looking into haunted house conventions?
Who knew that was a thing up until now?
Haunt attraction conventions. Well, I mean, they got to market all their stuff and sell it somewhere.
I just thought it was weirdos handing stuff down to weirdos.
No, yeah, it's I mean, well, so did you ever? What's the name of that show? Distortions Unlimited is a company who had a TV show on, I want to say, the Learning Channel back in the day.
Okay.
And I don't remember what the name of the show was. Making Monsters.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Making Monsters. And it was a really fun show just about how they make scary props and how they make animatronics and stuff like that. And the guy's name is Ed. And Ed is this Ed, who's actually a Christian dude. And he's really, really funny guy.
Just because you make cool monster things doesn't mean you're not a Christian.
Thank you.
I mean, seriously.
So anyways, he really, I think, was very influential on, because I really liked watching that show because I'm super interested in all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And my daughter would watch it with us, and I think she just kind of fell in love with that. And so ever since, she's been kind of down this pathway of she started liking scary movies, and then she wanted to go to all the haunted attractions she could go to. And well, when we moved to Indiana, it's always been on my bucket list to work at a haunted house, you know, that you go to in October or September and they jump out. I wanted to be a scare actor. I just thought it would be a fun, like, I'll do it one season of my life.
Yeah.
And so we moved there. I was very much in the same position I'm in, or that I was recently in, which is that I'm trying to plant the church, but I'm not pulling a paycheck. And so this was a way I could go knock something off my bucket list and make a little money for my family.
Yeah.
So so I go and I do that. Had a blast doing it. It was definitely something I only needed to do for one season. I helped him out like the second and third year.
Okay.
But not full time. But the first one I was there the whole season. And I was I wasn't just like a jump out and say boo actor. His house told a story. The guy we worked for, his house told a story. And so they had speaking roles, and they weren't like lines that you learned per se. It was just, this is the story you're trying to convey to these people that are coming through.
Yeah.
This is your character, this is who you are, and this is what you're setting them up for, and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So I was a priest, oddly enough. I was a priest whose wife had died, so obviously not a Catholic priest, but I was a priest whose wife had died, and like, if I remember correctly, it was something like he went crazy when his wife died, so he was like trying to collect souls to get enough energy to like re-energize her corpse and bring her back or something. And
I've read Five Nights at Freddy's. I know how this works.
So I got that role, and it was a lot of fun, and it was kind of cool because like I'd speak in Latin to people that like they were coming in, and I'd like say stuff to them in Latin, and they thought, you know, and I'd kind of like try and make it like sound like it was this really demonic thing that I was doing, and what I was actually doing was quoting John 3:16 in Latin. But they didn't know that.
Super convincing.
Yeah, super convincing. So anyways, I had a lot of fun doing that, but she worked with me that year, even though she was underage, but it didn't matter because like it's considered an acting job.
Yeah.
So like the rules are different about if someone's getting paid to act, then you can. So she loved it. She went back and did it for 3 years.
No kidding.
His first year, the first year we worked there was the first year that this guy had set this up. He did it outdoors. It was plywood and paint and whatever crap he could find to throw in it, and actors telling a story, and it was really good. He broke even the first year. He sunk $50,000 into it. He broke even. The second year, he made a really good profit. The third year, he made an even better profit. And the fourth year, he had enough money to go buy 30 acres and start building like basically a haunt park.
Excuse me.
That's how much money he made that quickly.
We have that here, but it's not that cool as far as
I went to the haunt park that was like down in South, like towards South. Yeah, not great.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's not great, but it's like
but
always
packed.
Marketed. Yeah,
but packed.
You know why? You know what happened?
I don't.
Astroworld closed.
Oh,
Because Astroworld did what was I called it? Halloween Frights or something like that. And it was the whole season. But of course, once you've ramped it up to that, I mean, the whole park became one giant haunted house.
Right.
Not to mention one small attraction that was literally
Right.
Because I remember the couple of years we went Fright Fest. Fright Fest. That's what it was called.
Because that was back when they were Six Flags.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
'cause Six
Astro
Flags-
was always Six Flags. Yeah.
Astro World was Astro World, and then they got bought out by Six
Oh, they got
Flags,
bought
but
by
they were
Six Flags.
still called
So
Six
in my
Flags
mind,
Astro
it was
World. They didn't
always-
change. They didn't change the name.
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
still Six Flags Astro
Okay,
World.
I always just knew it associated. Okay. So when we went, the 2 years we went before, for some reason we stopped. I don't even know. I remember my cousin, we all split up, right? So I was with the younger group. My older cousins went with their friends to the actual like haunted house part. And it was supposed to be like a haunted circus. And they came out of it and we met up like a little bit after the fact. And she says, she's like really distraught and her friends are laughing at her. And we're like, what happened? And she's like, this clown jumped out at me and grabbed me, so I punched him in the balls. It's like, and like, mind you, she's like 14 and I'm like 8. You know, it's like, it's hilarious. Now, mind you, like, I wasn't doing anything with like rides.
Right.
Like, I didn't ride roller coasters or anything back then. It took a long time of going to Astro World to finally get me on any kind of roller coaster. And it was going with them because my parents weren't going.
Right.
You know, unfortunately, I was born to an older generation that was
Right.
done living life, basically. Oop, my camera just shut off. Oh, it says I have 12 minutes left. Okay.
Okay. Well,
That's
I guess
fine.
we have 12 minutes to wrap it up.
Well, I got 12
But
minutes
yeah,
of footage.
so
left.
it's like $60 a ticket
Okay,
to go
okay.
down to the one you're talking about, Scream Park.
Yeah,
and
Scream
we went.
World,
We
yeah.
went Scream World. We went down there, and it's absolutely packed. Like we were waiting 3 hours to get. I think they had 5 or 6 different attractions.
Yeah.
and we're waiting like 3 hours for the longest one, and like we didn't even get to go to all of them because the lines were so long. And I'm like,
might have had a
there's
phone
definitely.
call. That might have been what happened.
That could have been it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there's definitely money to be made. I mean, obviously, people are into this kind of stuff.
You know what's funny is you brought all that up and you said it was funny that you played a priest or whatever. And a lot of the better like haunted attractions up here that I went to in my teenage to early 20s were all put on by churches
Oh God, not
for
those
money,
things.
but for money. But like, it was the thing. It was like,
What did they call? They called them hell houses.
something like that. But I mean, like, but the
I went
better
to
ones were, I mean, they were put on by like the youth groups and stuff
Right.
that were the actors. Because I had friends who went to other churches that did that, and we went to one, and I was like, it was actually fun. I was like,
No, they are fun. They are fun. They're just so super cringy.
oh, well, they are, but it's.
I
not-
remember
No,
going to one in
Trunk or Treat
college.
is cringy.
I like Trunk or Treat.
You're not helping your case.
I like Trunk or Treat. I like Trick or Treat better, but Trunk or Treat's
Yeah.
good because it's all in one place.
Okay, for convenience, yes. For cringiness,
So
of
when
not
my
getting
wife
the
wife
experience.
and I met and we went to that Bible college in Springfield, they had a hell house and we went to not the college. God, the college would not have condoned
never,
such a thing. But some local church was putting on a hell house and we went there and the only thing I remember about it, I mean the whole thing was cringe. Like the whole thing I'm going through there and I'm like, oh my gosh. But the one that I remember the most, like Smashing Pumpkins, was a real big thing at the time, and I was a
was
huge
gonna say, is this
Smashing
like
Pumpkins
92?
fan. 98.
Oh, okay, way later. Okay.
So yeah, but I think like Melancholy and Infinite Sadness had just come out recently, and anyways,
Oh, then I underestimated when that came out.
so they well, I say recently, it was probably like 2 or 3 years before that, but anyhow, I just remember like going into a room and there's a girl who's acting very poorly about how sad she is and how depressed she is, and I just can't take it anymore. And she puts a gun in her mouth and pulls the trigger. And there was actually a very cool special effect.
It actually had like a
That like
squid.
something happened, and like you just saw this blood splat onto the wall behind her, and she falls over and whatever. And so the effect actually was very cool, and I liked
that's effort.
I liked that part. But then like there's a narrator who like narrates the whole story as you're going in, and the narrator comes on and he's like, when you don't have Jesus in your life.
Oh, okay. Yeah, if they go there, I agree.
All your rage, you're still just a rat in a cage.
Oh my God.
And I was just like, no, why did you do that? Like it was so good without that. So anyways.
But I did want to, before we go, because we'll wrap it up here. I did want to bring this up. Sorry to the patrons who lost camera footage of my lovely face.
Well, you still got to look at me the whole time.
Yeah,
so.
they can see you.
You're still just looking at me. Now I have to
like a rat in a cage.
I have to
Looking
carry
at
the
you.
handsomeness for both of us.
Only for the patrons, so that's fine.
Only for the patrons.
So the last episode, episode 80, I had Mike on, and we talked about, we're going very deep, just real quick here at the end. We talked about how in a twist of logic, suicide has become healthcare. Mm-hmm. In this country, it's beginning, but in Canada, it's already
It's already there.
Well, way into a head start. Netherlands, Sweden, all that. That's way overboard.
Sure.
So I asked for comments. Didn't get any on the actual episode on YouTube or anything else like that. And I haven't checked other streaming services. I probably should. But on Patreon, we definitely got a comment. And I said specifically to one of my patrons who works in the healthcare industry, I really want to hear your thoughts on this. So this is a shout out to Laura. So this is her comment on it. So she said, I never wanted to be a part of a conversation more. I have a lot of thoughts on euthanasia. It's a slippery slope, especially if it's controlled by government socialized medicine. Put societal decline of mental health and the destructive nature of social media together, and you can end up with assisted suicide as the next pressurized trend. I mean, same thing like physically transitioning your young child. So... And that was something we talked about in the episode is like we're doing all this stuff to deeply affect our young children, whether that's starting them on hormones that greatly affect their emotions and their thinking, and then also giving them physical treatments later that will permanently damage their bodies. And then that will lead to more than likely thoughts and efforts of suicide,
Right.
which they've now suddenly decided that that's perfectly okay for teenagers to do. Especially in Canada. Well, they haven't, it's not legal, but they've been trying to push it through. So she continues, don't even get me started on the possible ramifications of community I support. Already, Iceland is a country without Down syndrome because the abortion of genetically imperfect fetuses is encouraged and the norm. That's true. They've completely wiped out Down syndrome there entirely for that reason. And that's called, we have a fun word for that.
Yeah.
You know, not just genocide.
Well, and I would just say sucks to be them. Like, have you ever met somebody with Down syndrome? Like, they're
Jessica's
the best.
brother.
They're the best people to be around.
Yeah. I mean, Shane Gillis has made a whole career of it.
Oh, that's true.
He doesn't have Downs, but people think he does. That's the problem.
You see the Netflix cover for his special? It was like, oh, who's this guy? Oh,
Watch his
to go, buddy.
special
I'm
on
proud of
YouTube.
you.
Watch his live in Austin on YouTube. It's pretty good. That's where he really starts the Trump impression too. But he said, I could go on, but it's too much to write. I'm always open to intelligent conversation or debate. Well, I'm glad you came here for that, Laura, because nobody else does. But like she was really like amped up, and like if I can, I'll try to get her live on a thing. But she's got a very, very busy schedule. But it meant a lot for somebody. And then Jessica actually, you know, I had this conversation, and God, I wish I could get her to record something. Because we talked about it too. You know, we talk about all the major kind of topics, you know. Because like the funny thing is like I assume that she doesn't keep up with things because I know what I do to keep up with any of this type of news. And then like I never know what it is she's doing to keep up with it, you know, in the same fashion. And so when we can have a conversation like deep about that and like politics and stuff like that, and even if I don't have to explain something to her, which is always good to not have to mansplain, it's great. But then like whenever she has her own knowledge of it, like the inside factor of it for being in the medical field is a big deal, you know? So yeah, it was just a deep conversation that we had, because with what's going on with Sean's family, there may or may not have been someone who came in the room and may or may not have made any suggestions. And that's here in Texas. You know, I can't confirm or deny anything along those lines, but I would see that it might have been a reality. You know, Mike, who lives in Canada, it's an obvious reality. Even in Alberta, you know, the most conservative chunk of Canada that there is, you know, they're doing everything they can to not be like the rest of Canada, and the rest of Canada is trying to drag them along. You know, when Mike says that they are the Texas of Canada, they mean it. You know, much like we're dealing with so much crap down here. It's just like, in general, we're dealing with so much crap, and then we got everybody attacking us for having to deal with it.
Right.
It's annoying. You know, it's in a weird way. It's a lot like trying to be a Christian in the modern world.
Right.
Try to have morals, try to have character, and stand up and do the right thing.
Right.
And then everyone bullies and attacks you for it, especially if you're making any progress.
Right.
It's a hard way to look at it on a macro scale. But when it comes to that stuff, like with suicide, as somebody who was suicidal at one point and every now and then thinks about it, it's just like I couldn't imagine what it'd be like to have someone actually pressuring me, let alone a government official or a doctor. It's like, where would I be if I told my doctor I was depressed and they said, well, we can deal with that.
You don't have to be here.
Yeah, you could literally just die and be like, oh, are there other options? You could try Ozempic.
Ozympic's more expensive.
I'd rather die. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not getting into the Ozempic topic right now. All I know is I see the effects it's having on my wife. But she is finally down a few pounds.
There you go.
I think since she started, she's down like 10 pounds.
Yeah,
So,
good.
but horrible side effects along the way. So,
I think they're somewhat short-lived is what I've heard. Like, I know that initially they're supposed to be like pretty intense and then they get a lot less.
the side effects, yes. But some of the side effects are things that can be dealt with. The other one, like the headaches and stuff, have minimized.
Yeah.
But her lack of energy and stuff like that worries me because like she normally has energy to want to do things, and now she has no energy to do things.
Interesting.
So, and combine that with an antidepressant and everything else like that, I'm worried about what any side effects might be happening.
Sure.
Yeah. So because she has been, she has expressed thoughts of suicide in the last couple of years,
Right.
to a very significant degree. She even told me that one time she did cut herself. Not anywhere vital, but she did it on purpose.
Right.
And so I was like, okay, you need help. And more than I can give you. Also, we're going to start going to church. It's like we were already dabbling with the idea. I was like, let's explore this idea a little bit more. So it's not just because we were lonely and needed friends.
Right.
You know, we were both.
Well, because that's not all it's for. I mean,
no, but that's why I came to men's group in the first place.
right.
Was,
Yeah, I mean, you told me.
yeah, lonely, needed friends. And then I found like Greg. Oh, and you.
Yeah.
And Charlie.
Greg's great.
Greg is great. Actually, tried to put him in touch with Sean this morning about trying to deal with his mom's insurance problems.
Yeah.
So hopefully he can be of any use to them, because that is a horrible situation. So I feel bad about that, and Sean's doing the best he can to get through that on top of the other stressful crap. I wish he was here to talk about it, because I know he needs to vent. He doesn't. And the funny thing is he's in the way of being a man. Is like, I will deal with my stuff the way I deal with my stuff. Don't bother me.
Right.
But then he spills his guts to me about everything that he feels and he's dealing with. I'm like, I mean, it'd be cool if you were here to talk with me. I mean, he lives about 7 hours away, unfortunately. Right. So hopefully I'll get up there to meet his ass one day. Sean, we're always thinking about you, buddy. So he was one of my original co-hosts.
Okay.
Yeah, so Sean and Mike were my original co-hosts, which, by the way, guys, I am shopping for new co-hosts. Unfortunately, James can't manage that. He's got a church to run. His own podcast to get off the ground at some point.
One of these days.
At some point, which I will be helping him with to manage that. So, but I will have a new guest auditioning on Monday. Should be pretty good. He should fit the bill pretty good, because he's a nerd. He definitely can hold a conversation, and he likes to drink. So
there you go.
But unfortunately, he has to work after the podcast.
Yeah,
because he goes to work at midnight. Crazy. I don't do overnight jobs. So either way, but thanks for coming to visit, James.
No problem.
Appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Definitely learned a lot more. Now I want to look more into this haunted house con, as it were.
Yeah,
because that's. I mean, as a concept, I'm like, what? That's a thing we do? So either way, is there anywhere that people could like follow you on anything? Is there any particular socials that people should maybe look into?
Right now, I'm gonna say no. I'm
leaning a very particular direction.
Well, okay. Well, I'm blanking out. I'm not
talking about
picking
the
up the
real
vibes.
life ministries.
So yeah. I'm still. The answer is still not now, but
yes,
it's on the way. So
yeah.
In case anybody is ever listening to this, not as soon as it comes out, if you go to reallifeconro.org, that is our web address, and
follow us on Facebook.
You can easily find us on Facebook if you type in Real Life Ministries Conroe. If you're a dude and you're live close to Conroe, you can look up Real Life Men Conroe, and it's kind of how all us guys connect.
Yep.
But yeah, so there's a lot of things that are right around the corner. They'll be up and running before Easter, which is still a month and a half away. But
yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, they'll be up and running before then, and they're almost up and running now. So it's works
Yeah,
out.
and you got like a digital, like social media type person now that's putting
We
things
do.
together.
She's phenomenal.
Yes,
and
so
she's
there-
kicking butt.
I definitely look forward to seeing more of that in the future as well.
Yep.
And there's places at least where you can see real life tomball if you want to have different, the
if
sending
you-
church.
Yeah, reallifetexas.org. They're already established. They got tons of sermons. That's my pastor, and
Yeah, see, I didn't even know there was like the whole video format of the sermons and stuff. So
yeah, you can go. They also have an app, and as will we. So if our website's up, our app is up. So that'll all happen in the next few weeks. You can look on your app store for Real Life Ministries Conroe, and our sermons will be on there. If you like the sound of my voice, I don't know why you would. You can hear it more there, and probably in a little more animated fashion, because I tend to get a little animated when I speak.
He does. He moves his hand around a lot.
So
he's been very antsy sitting here trying not to play with anything.
Yeah, exactly. So next
But
time
I have been. So
I've got a sand for. So okay, first of all, I know we're about to wrap up, but I do have to say I'm a Chiefs fan, and the Chiefs just won the Super Bowl.
Yes,
so
we didn't even
Chiefs.
go there.
No, we didn't go there.
Taylor
We could
won the
we
Super
could have
Bowl.
talked about Taylor for another hour, and we didn't do it.
No, I got to wait for Dante to talk about Taylor because he's the number one Taylor Swift fan. Which, by the way, I will say happy birthday to Dante. It was his birthday on Wednesday.
Happy birthday, Dante.
Yeah, so and I made sure to send him a Taylor Swift.
Dante probably knows all about Transworld. I can't imagine he doesn't.
I mean, I don't know how much he's into haunted houses versus just horror stuff.
Even if you're into horror movies,
I'll
you
ask him
probably,
next time I
You
talk.
probably know about Transworld if you're into horror.
He'll
movies.
probably say, no, what the fuck is that?
Okay, well,
More than likely.
then you should.
But I will
enlighten him.
check.
He'll
I
probably
will.
enjoy it. So, anyways, I have a sand fruit. It's like a plastic fruit that's full of sand. That's essentially a stress toy.
I thought it was a fruit I'd never heard of.
Sand fruit. Oh, it's
It sounds
delicious.
like a thing,
You gotta
doesn't it?
try it. It does. Sounds like something from Star Wars.
Sounds grainy.
like, yeah, we were raised on sand fruit.
Or it's in Dune.
But yeah,
Dune
no.
2 coming soon.
But yeah, so I was just watching the whole Super Bowl, like squeezing this sand fruit, and my
The first half you would have.
Well, my son called me after because he was visiting some friends out in Sealy, and he didn't get to be there for the Super Bowl. And he called me. He's like, "Dad, were you clenching your butt cheeks the whole time?" I said, "No, son, I was squeezing my banana." And he thought that was pretty funny. Yeah. So, and then I sent him a picture of me squeezing the banana, and he thought it was even more funny because he didn't know that it wasn't a metaphor. I was literally doing that.
I forgot. I didn't have it up in timer. I would have been.
Yeah,
I
there
missed
you go.
it. So edit that back in there. I'm not.
I kind of like it that late. That's the sort of response it deserved.
Yeah.
So, anyways, but yeah, I should have. If I come here again, I'll have to bring that.
Yeah, bring your banana to
I'll have
squeeze.
to bring my banana, and then you'll have seen both my Balrog and my banana.
And on that note, like and subscribe to all the things, guys. Sorry, I know we've had a bit of a break. Once again, co-host shopping. It is what it is. Dante will be back at some point, but he is so busy trying to get all of his podcasts together. It's nuts. We actually didn't even get to record the one we were supposed to record last week, so gonna have to get back to the Pope's Exorcist sometime soon, which if you haven't seen that, it's a pretty fun movie. Also, guys, once again, if you want to write into the email with comments, questions, whatever, you can do so. NowYouMadeItAwkwardMail@gmail.com. It's in the description. You can copy and paste it. You don't have to try to spell it or whatever. It is what it is. Or just leave a comment on this video, wherever it is. But also, if you're listening on any other podcast apps, go ahead and rate it. Let them know that we're doing anything worth a damn. Because who knows? I know it sucks. No, having a lack of a schedule does suck. So hopefully we'll get back at least somebody in the day. I know Mike wanted to come back 2 weeks ago to do the follow-up for 80. It's like we just did not get a chance to. He was so busy. The only thing that sucks about having an internet podcast is finding time for your host to come on.
If only we didn't have people in the world to deal with.
Yeah, it's so much better when we were all on the internet. We didn't have to see each other face to face ever. But actually, being able to sit down, even though there was a big hiccup right at the beginning, it was fun being able to sit down and finally actually, hang out with you.
Yeah.
But next time we'll either do this again or we will definitely go play games.
Sounds good.
Because I definitely want to go do the Game Preserve.
Yeah.
Because I've always wanted to go there.
We'll do it.
And I'll see if my buddy Anthony is off because he also has a membership. So,
Cool.
All right, guys, we'll see you next time. And remember as always, it's I cross over my channels all the time when I do that stuff. So, and with that, okay, bye.
Okay, bye.
There you go. Do the funny voice.
I see her rolling up, Uber black Cadillac, high heel boots and a sexy body full of tats.